What is going on, people? It is the Platform Sports Talk
What
Show,
up?
your Wednesday night sports delight. I am your boy Smooth.
Oh, damn. What's my line?
Stand, baby.
Okay, there we go. And stand, baby.
Really?
B Baker. As you can see, he's back.
He's been gone that long, y'all. He
Man.
got his line.
Oh,
Sports Talk Show, your Wednesday night sports.
that's
You're here
mine.
making
Oh man,
mistakes.
that's mine. Oh man, I had mine. Oh my god. Oh my
It ain't
god.
y'all.
Come on, Rick.
Right, here we
It ain't
go.
y'all. It
Here
ain't
we
y'all.
go. Right, and I turned
Come on,
it down right before that. Really, Apple?
Don't blame that on Apple.
That's on Apple, bro.
That ain't on
That's
Apple.
on Apple, bro.
When I turn it down, it stay down.
Oh,
That's on you.
turn down. Stay down.
It's an Apple product.
No, that's on you.
Exactly.
That's
When I,
user error.
it might be. It might be. I have no way to refute that, so I'm just gonna say, all right, you're right.
So with that being said,
Can't refute it because it's not refutable.
when it's about sports,
It becomes our business.
And business just picked up.
there we go. Here we go.
Wow.
In a minute. Knuckle punch.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Into
y'all.
Explosion.
Happy Wednesday to y'all. January
Happy
15th,
birthday, Dr.
2020.
Martin Luther King. Sing, sing, celebrate.
Also, I ain't been here in a minute, so Happy New Year.
Right.
Dang, it's been that long?
Let me catch up. Happy New
Man.
Year. What else I missed? Happy Leif Erikson Day. Happy birthday, Martin Luther King.
He said LaFerrence.
If I don't see you before then, Happy Martin Luther King Day, which still
It's still pending
confuses me.
on Monday, yeah. They got to make sure you get a day off from work.
Not even a lot of people ain't even off.
True. Nobody in Arizona off.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah. Yeah. They do not celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Day in
I
Arizona.
wonder
That's crazy.
Why? Really, in Arizona out of all places?
Yeah, Arizona.
It's crazy, ain't it?
Yep. I'm just going to leave it at that.
All
Y'all like it? I
places.
love it.
Yep.
I don't know.
Whatever.
You know,
Look,
maybe
crispity, crunchy.
maybe our guest can explain a little bit why.
Oh man,
Hey, I want him to explain
Somebody cue up the organ music, please.
Man, he gonna hit you. He got the voice to say it too, man. So
Right.
we gonna just bring him in, man. Just bring him
Yeah,
in.
so
No further
Praise the
ado.
Lord, saints.
Without
We are-
any further ado,
you better give him the guest preacher introduction.
Lord,
your friend, our pastor.
That's right. That's right.
I am presenting to some and introducing
Ain't we supposed to stand?
right.
We super
Oh,
disrespectful.
no, I mean, he ain't no judge or anything.
You gotta
Hey
set
man,
the
when
name.
my pastor come in, we be standing, bro. So
What?
yeah, we stand.
I mean, the only time we stand is, during the congregational hymn and the reading of the word and the prayer at the end. Y'all stand when you pass the one
The choir do a selection, we do a prayer, and then they bring the pastor on while everybody's standing up for the prayer.
What in the...
Sure.
Mama-
Sign the
I'm gonna leave-
Pope, the Pope or something, don't it?
It is Dr. King. All right.
All right. So once again, without
non-violent, brother.
any further ado, we have Vashon alumni in the house, Kirkwood coach in the building,
Yes, yes.
former Ohio State Buckeye,
Ohio
former
State.
there we go,
There it is.
Carolina Panther, went to the XFL, played overseas, whatever you could think of, he done. Everybody show some love for
Bishop!
Well,
Butler by
Benote.
hey, what's up? What's up?
What's
Glad to
up,
have y'all
Bishop?
have me on, brothers.
Let the
Yeah,
church
man.
say
Appreciate you
amen.
coming, man.
Amen, amen.
Amen.
Well,
And I said on Facebook that last time we had you and we had our super show at Smoke Session a while back.
Ooh,
Great
Lord.
show. Street A. Smith, he clowned that show.
Real quick.
I cannot even imagine him in a pastor in the same.
in the
It
same-
wasn't good.
Hey,
Like,
Ratings went through the roof.
Right,
that show.
right. I'm pretty sure. I missed that one, man. I'm gonna have to go back and some of y'all need to do like I'm about to do after this show and go back and look at that one.
Also, hey, Street A. Smith, I know it's been a minute, but don't forget 3 20s, 2 10s, 2 5s, 10 ones,
What does that equal?
$100.
100.
100.
Give me my 100.
Give me that 100.
HUNNIT. Not 100, 100.
Bishop, in case you're wondering what I'm talking about.
oh, we take hundreds too.
But
I'm just kidding y'all.
Wait.
Hey.
Now, when the bishop joke about it,
Exactly.
somebody gonna take it and run with it.
Right.
Told y'all that's all.
what church you go to? I'm going to Rack City.
The money.
I go to the one where they stand up when you come in and they give hundreds.
Oh, okay. All right. So he's going to win on mine. All right.
He remind me of coming to America and say, we take the ones that jingle, but also the ones that fold.
That's all right. Yeah. Hey, Pastor
Now,
Ford, I need
I'm
to get you on this show,
I'm
bro.
not that guy though. I'm serious. Your way is pretty smooth though.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord.
Why you?
Hey, I must say, I
appreciate you, sir. That's all.
No, I'm saying I like the way. I just wanted to change the subject real quick, but I saw on the graphic. The waves was tight, so it's real in person as it is on the graphic. So I just want to let everybody know.
He take hundreds. And he take hundreds.
Bruh.
That's your key.
It's not a game.
Right. Slide it on under the table.
Be like, hey, man.
Right. Appreciate it.
Hey, watch after the show. Stand up like, hey, man, thank you for that.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, appreciate it.
Here my time for the week.
Nobody put Bishop up to say anything
Man.
about my waves.
They tight though. I like
It's just giving respect where respect.
Yeah.
All right.
Bust it.
Right. Offerings in the bucket, tied in the envelope.
I thought you were going to
I thought he was gonna say 2 tears in the bucket.
Right. No, I wasn't going to go there. I wasn't gonna
now.
Right.
That's the updated version. That's bad.
Well, they all go in a bucket. The offering is loose, and the tithe go in the envelope. You got to put something on to let them know why you gave what you gave on the tithe.
You got to let them know this is for tax.
All right, so
Look
this is
what I
my
just
10%, brother, right here. All right, cool.
So before we get to Banote,
Okay.
Stan, people ain't seen you, man. What's going on with you? They be asking.
Man.
Life, shoot.
That's the truth right there, man.
2020 slapped me hard in the face. But you know what? It's all good. You know, you take your L's, you move on. Those were the only ones I'm taking this year. I already said that. It's going to happen. So, yeah, that was it. Ain't nothing left but W's. I'm here. We finna have some fun. A lot of sports happened
Man.
while I was gone.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to a lot of congrats. You were right today because somebody at this table was quick to say I was wrong. But look what happened. Houston, y'all got problems.
Right. And not just the football team either.
Right.
Man.
All across the board.
All across the board.
All across every major sport.
They were so dominant a minute ago, and now just all went just whoosh.
Yep.
It was like the go-to spot. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yup.
Sports-wise.
Yup.
But now, I don't know.
They back on Lone Star.
I don't know. And I know that Butler, you told me at church that you had some things to say about the reasons why you feel the Ravens lost the game against the Texans. So I'm sorry, the Titans. So we'll get to that very soon. But for those watching on YouTube for the first time, thank you. Share this stream with the peoples right now.
Yes.
You also see our social media information. So show us love everywhere on all them social media sites. And to let everybody know a little bit about, I know I gave a little intro earlier, but you can break things down more than I can because it was your life. So let everybody know about yourself.
Again, born and raised from St. Louis, inner city kid. Those that are from the Loop, Kings Highway, Cavity, Enright,
I was just over there.
Enright holding the tracks,
That's
Man.
right by my church.
Man, you made it.
and Enright
Right,
Taylor.
right. Man,
Yeah,
they had a
so-
shootout over there earlier.
Yeah.
That is right
So,
by my
it's always the same. If you can make it from St. Louis, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went from here to, I actually went to the V with Sean. And then from there, went to Columbus to The Ohio State University. Got a chance to play football there for 4 years, run track. Got drafted by the Denver Broncos, played with the Carolina Panthers. I was in camp with Oakland, New England, played overseas at Barcelona, XFL, arena football. Played everywhere except for Canada. And then transitioned into ministry and went back to finish my degree. Was in Columbus, Ohio, got remarried. And now I'm back here in St. Louis teaching at Sumner High School, coaching at Kirkwood High School, and preaching the word. So
He's born again.
Right.
What event did you do in track?
again and again and again.
There you go.
I was a hurdler. So I did the 110s, 300s.
Ooh,
Yeah, you was in shape.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
them hurdles ain't no.
Ain't no joke. That's all
Those hurdles
technique.
have
Got many
provided-
scars to prove it too.
I
So,
bet. Yeah. I tried it one time and
Hurdles
Yeah.
have provided.
I ain't never knocked skin off my ear before. That's a painful experience. I know what Holyfield went through.
Yeah, it's serious.
Yeah.
It's a serious deal.
Yeah. Second hurdle I was
So
done.
what got you into playing sports? At what age?
Oh man, I don't know if y'all want to hear this story.
We want to hear it.
Man, again, Kingside, I'm living on Cabney, and one of my best friends at the time, Mario Cunningham, I was sitting on the porch. He was just walking down the street. He had on a Matthew Dickey uniform. So at the time, it was just Pittsburgh Steelers, Cowboys. You had the old school electric football. That's what came into in the package. So when I saw him, I was like, "Hey man, where you get that from?" He was like, "I got it from the boys club." So I'm like, "I'm going to get me one tomorrow." And he was like, "You got to wait till next year because it was too late."
Right.
So I waited that whole season. I just wanted to get the uniform. So I went out and signed up, did my physical that whole 9, and the first day I was like the first person out there in practice. And so I don't know, see, y'all too young to probably remember, we had like tough skin jeans.
Yeah.
They were kind of like them Dickies, like, but
Yeah.
extra starch, you know what I mean? Really stiff.
Remember tough skin jeans? That's what I used to have.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Starch game.
Like Grandpa Pigeons, baby.
Can't-
Right, that's right. Yeah.
Run.
Yeah,
Can't-
man, that grandpa pigeons. So
Yeah.
I went out there with some brown tough skins on, and I had my jock strap and stuff, but I had it on the outside of my jeans. You know what I mean? I was out there ready, had my cleats on,
Right.
and the coach showed up and was like, "Son, this is supposed to go on the inside," and I'm like, really? So that was the start of my football career, but I just started simply because I wanted to get the uniform, that Pittsburgh Steelers uniform, and ended up starting playing linebacker my first year, and then they moved me to running back the year after that, and actually got coached by Ray Merriweather, who's now the director of AD at Matthew Dickey. So he was one of my coaches that started me out. So me and Zeke are his 2 best running backs he ever coached.
Shout out to a fellow Bulldog over here. That's what I'm
that's
talking
right.
about, man.
You already know.
When you say Zeke, for those who may not know, you are referring to.
Ezekiel Elliott.
There it is.
So we had the same little
Who
league coach.
also went to. Yep, there it is. Patent pending. Ohio State University.
Okay.
Did they get that? Did they get turned in? The patent that they
Yeah,
put on?
yeah.
They petty.
They tried like LeBron did. They tried.
Good try.
I saw you got some packages from Ohio State, correct?
Yes, sir. Got some of those 33 authentic jerseys. So got a hookup from my boy Mike Taylor in Ohio, and Ohio State is such a unique place. People don't understand, like, while we talk and brag and really proud about the university and the program, but if you've ever been to Columbus and been a part of that program and the facilities, we got guys from all over the place. Like I said, I'm from St. Louis. We got guys from Georgia, from Florida, from New Jersey, New York, California. So it's just kind of a melting pot of guys and collection of guys from all over the place. And so whenever we get a chance to get our hands on something that's reminiscent of when we played and things like that, it's always an honor because it's such a big fraternity and big family all over the country.
So going back to high school now, well, being a teacher at Sumner and then coaching at Kirkwood, how did that go down, and how are you able to schedule everything from one school to another?
Yeah, well, it's going from one extreme to the next, right?
Right.
So when I first got here, I was, because I went to the V, and for those that are not familiar, the old question, as soon as you find out from St. Louis, where'd you go to high school?
Right.
Yep.
So the fact that I got interviewed for the job, Jobs for America's Graduates is JAG is what we call it, and it's career and leadership development that I teach young people every day. But when they had the opportunities for me to come aboard, they had an opening at Sumner and they had one at Roosevelt. And the guy that was interviewing me asking me, so if you had to choose which one you want to go to, I'm like, I want to go to Roosevelt. And he was like, why? I was like, man, because I went to the V. Like, I want to go to Sumner. You know what I mean? Like, so when I got my offer sheet, I saw Sumner on it. I'm like, man, And so it was just one of those things. And that was my first time actually walking to that building. I was kind of a little upset about it, being from Vashon, and like, man, I hate this school, man, because I never beat Sumner in my 4 years in high school. And I lost to them twice my senior year, only team that I lost to my senior year. And so a little bit bitter about that whole thing, and so end up going in and teaching there, and I kind of got ingrained into the culture. But that first year, I was actually hired at Kirkwood also. So leaving there, I do what I do. I'm responsible for 90 minutes of instruction, and I have to follow up with students and things like that. So I have to be out in the field and have to try to meet with them. So it gives me an opportunity to be in the community as well. But when I came here, like I said, I had the opportunity to go to Kirkwood, which was kind of unique because my mom wanted me to go to Kirkwood High School. Well, she wanted me to go Kirkwood Middle. And we took a visit out there and all that. I'm like, nah, all my boys, like I'm from Fountain Park, like we went to middle school, Washington, Montessori, it was just Washington then. I'm like, nah, I can't make this drive out here. But so it was just ironic that I got the chance to go coach football out there. But for me, it's still the opportunity to impact young people.
Right.
And, because believe it or not, Kirkwood has some of the same issues that our inner city kids have as well, because a lot of our kids are out there that just, bust out there or whatever part of the program. And even Meacham Park, that's
I was about to say that, treacherous.
So it's, the story.
That's the first thing I was going to ask you about was Meacham Park, the kids that come from over there.
Yeah, so a lot of them, have some of the same issues, this year alone, I had a guy that was our coaching that was a running back, came in, he had the same shorts on. I mean, shorts was just kind of filthy and dingy and stuff like that. So I wanted to give him another pair and things like that. So he was in between homes, didn't have anywhere to live, sleeping on people's couches and things like that. So it's a very familiar story when I go to Sumner in the mornings, because a lot of kids don't eat. Mr. Benote, you got snacks, you got some water. One girl even today was like almost lifeless in there, like knocked out on the table. Gave her some crackers and some water. She perked up. She's like, man, now I got some food. So it's a juggling act for me, but at the same time, there are a lot of different challenges in both places. And Kirkwood in particular, they have some of our kids that are inner city kids, and then they really don't have a big advocate for them out there, for as African American coaches and an African American presence. So I take on that responsibility as well.
Yes, that's deep.
Nice.
So, with you being in Kirkwood, I know that Mizzou has a few recruits. Jay Macklin, which is the cousin of Jeremy Macklin,
correct,
and Brady Cook, they're both going to Mizzou. I believe starting this fall. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think Jay left last week. I think he left early. He's enrolled early.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so tell everybody about those two players if you don't mind.
Well, I mean, I really don't know a whole lot about the other guy. I mean, I just know about Jay because I coached with him and this year and got a chance to be with him. He's a tremendous player. I mean, very, very fast, explosive player, great hands, great routes. I think he's going to fit great into their program and hopefully gets an opportunity to be able to contribute right away. The thing that I like about him is he's a competitor. I mean, a fierce competitor, and when things didn't go right on the field, he was always challenging guys to try to step it up and do something better. And so a lot of times people don't really understand the method by way a player might go about it, and I think a lot of that's transpired at Kirkwood. Some people look around like, what's he talking about or why is he yelling and screaming? But he was just trying to get his guys motivated. So I think he's going to transition well to the next level. Again, he's one of those guys who was coming off of injury this past season, and I can't remember who we were playing, but I think it might have been Ladue. But I remember him catching a slant and just taking off, and I was in the press box, and I'm like, wow. Like that's the D1 guy that everybody was talking about. And so excited to see him play because he just, like I said, he's a fierce competitor. And then with his cousin having that connection there, because Jeremy Macklin came back and was a volunteer coach for us this year and actually was a receiver coach.
Really?
Yeah, so he was there working with him as well.
Okay.
That's cool.
So, got a chance to work with him. He's a tremendous brain, intelligent guy that knows the game of football. And he'll be returning back to Kirkwood this year as well. So again, just blessed to be able to have an opportunity to go out there and work with those guys and just really make an impact, with some of the guys that are struggling otherwise off the field.
So with you being a minister, are there times that do you struggle in regards to you being a coach, but also you want to minister to the youth as well? Because I know sometimes some schools they have a certain strict policy in regards to faith and religion in schools? Are you able to juggle that with the students and with your players?
Yeah, for me, I feel like coaching is a call. Just like you call into the ministry, and ministry is so broad. It's not just limited to the pulpit. And I always say all the time, there's a tremendous need for marketplace ministry, and that simply just means that you'll minister wherever God places you, and that can be in corporate America, that can be in the school, that can be like as a sanitation worker, wherever God places you. If you're a child of God, if you're a Christian and a following the believer, you're called to minister to those people wherever God has placed you. And so I look at the opportunity as we're on the platform, Sports Talk Show, as football being a platform.
Yeah.
And there are so many opportunities that I get to minister to kids, not to try to convert them to Christianity or to get them saved per se, because a lot of kids may have parents that are strong in their faith, but some may not, and some may have never stepped foot into a church. And so I like to believe that I'm like the only Christ that sometimes they might see, or the Christ-like in me, likeness in me sometimes has to shine through so that they may be able to know who Christ is. And so there are times where it's challenging because it's bigger than just football for me. There are times when, as in my role, which is very unique, being the running back coach and also working with the head coach might be yelling at a kid and going bananas on him because of something he's doing on and off the field. But it's my job as a man of God and as a follower and believer of Christ to go and encourage that brother, right, to go and lift him up, go and give him hope and give him something to believe in. Even though he might have been wrong, it's still football. It still is what it is. But at the end of the day, be that balance for him. And especially today when our kids are like hypersensitive about everything, and kids they have no coping mechanisms. Like when we grew up, it was just like you got beat, you got tough skin. It's just kind of how it was. You got tough love. Like
now you got to worry about suicide,
all that.
Yeah,
the whole social media getting clown on social media. It can affect your self-esteem.
Absolutely,
right. That's why the mental health is up so high.
Yeah,
and so that's why I really feel again like it's bigger than football for me. The reason why I'm there, wherever God leads me to go to coach, because I'm responsible for 9 running backs, and I look at those guys as 9 souls that God has put me responsible for to help them in whatever way I can. But it can get challenging because from the standpoint, I'm not like the big yelling and screamer coach.
I'm sorry.
I'm not going to, curse you out.
I'm sorry. Man, wait a minute. Man, I think you gotta be choked up over here.
He's sitting there
Literally, he choked.
Oh man,
the Holy Ghost is working.
Hey, he on there spitting, man. Oh man,
Ghost,
Jesus, man.
Wow.
Oh man. I'm sorry, man. Oh man.
Think about it.
Man.
That's how it happened.
Get it out of here.
Oh man, live show. Thank you, Lord. Man.
The quickening of the spirit, the quickening of the spirit.
Man, like a thief in the night.
Come on,
oh man! As y'all can see clearly, this is a live show.
He was just sitting there. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna say this next."
Like, man, he's spitting, man. I'm just, man. We're in a good sermon right now, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man.
Hey, last week we had comedy. This week we could go to church.
Oh yeah, man. We real versatile around here, man.
We got it all on the platform.
Oh man, you ain't lying.
We got it all. So, when you go on to the V, some people know that it ain't easy there.
No.
Tell us about your experience there, and what sports did you play in the V?
I played football and I ran track.
Okay.
I tried out for the basketball team. I'm gonna put it out there, for those that.
Hey, what happened though?
Yeah, what had happened was. But yeah, I played football there. Started on varsity my freshman year, and just continued to play on, and just was there. I mean, being at Vashon, coming from Matthew Dickey, I have to start there.
There you go.
I had a tremendous coach, Coach Merriweather and Coach Douglas and Coach Brown. Those guys all poured a lot into me from the time I started Matthew Dickey at 9. And that level of competition, man, I mean, just on your team and that level of intensity. I mean, you learn how to hit early.
Yeah.
At Matthew Dickey, you know what I mean? It was one of those things you don't survive. Like, you can't survive if you don't learn how to be physical. And so it was an easy transition for me going from there to Vashon, because they had a very strong characteristic of being physical at the V and just in the PHL period. So when I got there, before I got there, I had an opportunity to go to CBC. And because my coach had some type of connection with somebody at CBC, and, you know, it was before then that they can scholarship people where I was going to be able to go pretty much for free. And I remember the day that I was going to go take the test, that Saturday, some kind of way my uncle found out about it, and he was a coach at Vashon. And and for those that don't know my family, like, everybody in my family went to Vashon, like from my grandfather, my 3 uncles, my mom, my dad, like everybody. And so when he found out, however he found out, he called and was like, "I heard you getting ready to take a test." I'm like, "Yeah, coach is coming to pick me up now." He was like, "You ain't going." I'm like, "What do you mean?" You know,
Are you going to take this?
yeah.
No,
Right.
They ain't gonna happen.
Like, you ain't going to CBC. So I had to call the coach en route. It's like, coach, my uncle said I can't go.
Right.
He was like, "So where you going?" I was like, "I'm going to Vashon." He was like, "What, Vashon?" So I was just like, I don't have no choice. So for me, it just was one of those things where, again, I was just following the family tradition. And when I got there, the football team was decent. I mean, they had some tremendous athletes, man. In the 80s, Keith Washington, David Hill, the Hill brothers. I mean, Antonio Scaife, Brian McDonald. I mean, it's just, the list goes on and on. Glenn English, Harold Taylor. I mean, it was so many. Rodney Penson, Reginald Ferguson. I mean, it just went on and on.
Coach Ferg.
Yeah, so, I mean, Ferg was a dog. I mean, like, he's a nice guy, when you first see Ferg, and he's nice and well-mannered, but, I mean, he was junkyard dog. He was like the epitome of Vashon football. And so when I got there, I had to adapt to, their style, which was, like, straight physical, like, we take no prisoners, wasn't no pretty boy type of thing, wearing towels and all that. So my experience there was good, because, I got a chance to start the later part of my freshman year, and then I became a full-time starter as a sophomore. So by the time my junior year came, I was like being recruited by pretty much everybody, because the guy at the time that was also in the backfield with me, Philip Shields, we was known as Double Trouble, because we ran like a wishbone offense then. And he ended up going to Illinois State, but he was getting recruited by Memphis State, Kansas State, and those schools like that. And so they would come see him, and then they actually got a chance to see me. And so a lot of them said they were going to come back and try to get me if they couldn't get Philip the year before. So that kind of opened the door for me. And then when he left, I kind of had, the show to myself, so to speak. I was in the backfield also with Gary Lashley, who was a really good back as well. But I got the most carries. And so it just opened up a door for me to be able to get recruited. And I took my visits to The Ohio State University, Nebraska, Tennessee, UCLA, and Oklahoma.
How did it feel being able to, get these letters in coming from all these big time schools?
Man. I mean, it's something now that I was just saying to my sister. I wish that I could have saved those letters, all the letters that I got.
Yeah.
And I had them in somewhere. I don't know what happened to them when we moved, but and I had just shoe boxes of letters, and I had them alphabetized, according to the schools, and it was just like a big deal. And people don't understand, like, you only go through that one time.
Yep.
And it was such a great experience for me to be able to see when you come home, like, letters from all these schools, and especially at that time I was living on Enright and Taylor.
Ooh,
And so every night I'm hearing like gunshots, helicopters, police cars, ambulance. I got to cross the street, the alley, and this vacant lot every morning to catch the bus to go to the V, to hold my track bus to get to the V. And I'm seeing like all kind of paraphernalia and stuff, bullet shells, all that. And all I could think about was like, man, I'm getting the blankety blank out of here.
Yeah.
And I'm never coming back. But to be able,
Right.
able to see that stuff.
What was the blankety? I know the blanket.
Or the HE double hockey sticks.
Right.
Getting the 50 out of here.
He like, whatever come to mind,
Man,
I'm gone.
I'm out of here, man. And so it was to be able to see that stuff when you come home, and then, walk past all that stuff in the morning, then go to the V, and then have to walk through the Blue Mire to get to school.
Yeah.
And then catch the bus back, and then to see that glimpse of hope to go somewhere else, man, was just, it was indescribable. I mean, really. And for me, that was my hope, to be able, like, I got to get out of the hood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm getting out of here.
Who was one of the main factors that helped you along the way to keep you straight?
My uncle Kelvin Hamilton. He, like I said, he was a coach. He was the track coach, and he was one of the football coaches at Vashon. And because I had 3 uncles and my grandfather, it was kind of, I was scared to do anything wrong, really, you know. And I hung out with a bunch of cats from Sodan, and a dude that came from Madison, Illinois, came over and transferred to the V. I mean, so I had opportunities to kind of, you know, getting involved in some stuff, but I just had a bigger picture from an early stage, you know. And because I wanted to play football, and because I got a chance to see that I had an opportunity when I was like a freshman and sophomore, and see guys get a chance to go to school, I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to get out of here. And then the motivation for me, like most kids, I want to do something for my mom. You know, I want to get out of here. I want to get, you know, do this, do that, and do something for my mom. So it was one of those things where I'm like, hey, I got a plan. I got an out. I see an out. I'm chasing this dream. Y'all can chase these, you know what I'm saying, these streets. I'm about to be on this grind to get out of St. Louis.
Yeah, because I always know temptation was a mug.
Oh, man, especially at the V, too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Man.
Like, and it's just, and like I said, my dudes from Sodan, they, you know what I'm saying, they was on that west side. You know what I mean? So it was like, so I had the cats from Sodan, my cats from the V, you know, and being a part of the football team at Vashon again was instrumental. But I will say, and shout out to Mr. Ronald King and bless his family. His youngest daughter passed yesterday, so our prayers go out to him. But Mr. King was my summer track coach at the St. Louis Blues. And after my freshman year of Vashon, I got a chance to go and run track with the Blues, and it literally changed my perspective on competition. And it opened up so many doors for me that I didn't know visually for myself, because most of the people I ran with were from North County. So I was running with cats from Hazelwood East, Hazelwood Central, Ladue,
Right.
Berkeley, you know. And so, and Berkeley was like, you know, all these teams were like at the top of the food chain track wise. But what it allowed me to do is, because sometimes they'd come pick me up, take me to their house and stuff like that. It was the first time I was able to get out of the city and see what it was like outside in the county, and just be like, man, okay, this is what it's like to actually live like in a house, you know what I mean? The mom and the dad, and, you know, a garage, and, you know, where you ain't got to worry about shooting, or you don't hear no police and stuff like that. So for me, and then to be able to travel with those guys and hear how their perspective was different. And so when I went back to Vashon, like, and competed with my guys, it was like, man, I got a bigger scope for what is out there than some of the people that I was playing with. And so for me, Mr. King was a huge impact, because he was our coach, and he would pick me up, drive all the way from Halls Ferry, like up to Halls Ferry and 270.
All the way down to the city.
Like Voorhoff, and I can't think of a street, off of Voorhoff and something, one of the street, all the way to the city on Enright and Taylor. Pick me up, you know what I mean, take me to practice, or pick me up to come get my haircut. I talked to the guy who's my barber that's living in Atlanta now. He lived down the street from him, like, pick me up and just to get my haircut at his crib, then take me all the way back, you know, come pick me up and take me to Flow Valley to practice track. So it just changed my perspective a little bit. So I would definitely have to say he and my uncle were 2 instrumental people to help me.
I got a question for him.
Go ahead.
Going back, you said you was on varsity your freshman year.
Yeah.
So I was curious, like, because I did the same thing in basketball, but in football, it's a lot harder to play varsity your freshman year. So I wonder, like, what was going through your mind that first game when you actually got put into a varsity game against seniors as a freshman football player?
Man, I mean, because I was small too, you know.
Right, you were a freshman,
I was small,
yeah.
you know, and so, but I kind of earned my right. There's a video or a picture that's been going around on social media where it has, you know, the tunnel below, where you got people, the little drill where you got people on the east side and then 2 people laying on their back.
Man, and they call your number. You got to
get up.
That's what made me quit football.
That's what it said. That
Exactly.
This drill has made many basketball players.
Yeah, that's exactly how I started hooping. Yes, that's exactly how.
So I actually we was doing that drill at the V, and they put me up against one of the defensive linemen that was like a junior. I mean, and so I'm from Matthew Dickey. I'm used
get
to
it
it
anyway. Yeah,
man. Let's
gonna
do
scrap
it,
if you win,
man. At least I'm gonna knock myself out.
Man, you know what I'm saying? Hey,
So
it's going down if I get up.
It's heads up. It's mano y mano. They ain't nowhere to run, and so man, they blew the whistle. I got up and ran this dude over.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like literally trucked him. Like,
eyes.
So they was like, woo,
Yeah,
it was like the freshman.
already.
So that kind of helped because after that, like I had upperclassmen that would be like coming up alongside me, trying to just pump me up and help me, and really trying to get me into the game. And I got a chance to play a couple games, but the breakout game for me my freshman year was against Beaumont, and it was actually the last game of the regular season.
Okay.
And back in the day, I mean, I'm getting in trouble for this, whatever. But I played B team and varsity.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I played B team earlier that day, and then dressed out for varsity and started on varsity.
Yeah.
So I scored 2 touchdowns on B team, and then I came back and scored 2 touchdowns on varsity. And that was they called one of them back, but we won like 6-0.
Yeah.
So I scored the winning touchdown as a freshman, and so. I always tease Antonio Scaife, like, man, like, I scored the only touchdown your senior year, man. You got to be glad.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
Like, I saved your last game of your senior year. And but I think that just kind of catapulted me to the next year. But it was like, again, that moment in training camp when I ran that guy over. I ain't gonna call his name. I don't want to
call his name, man.
I can't. I don't put him because that's my guy from the V.
He'll be all right.
Nah, I can't put him out. But that kind of
Call his name.
Right.
Kind of got me out there, got me going. He knows
Say his
he out there.
initials. Say his initials. Say what it sound like.
One of them
Say his number or
People from the
something.
V probably no. That's my dog.
Number 22. Come on, man. Give us something, Bishop. Come on.
It was number 53.
I don't know what his number was.
What do you say? He was a linebacker?
Nah, he was lineman.
Lineman. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 53.
All right, Mr. Such and Such. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so that kind of gave me the rites of passage, so to speak.
Yeah.
At the V, because I mean, playing there as a freshman was like unheard of. Really.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Only so many guys that I can remember just going back got that opportunity because it was like we still had. It wasn't like it was the PHL is now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was stacked. From every team was from Vashon, Sumner, ROTC. I mean, Roosevelt. Every team was competitive. Sodan.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of talent that was coming out of the inner city going to colleges.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin, which you know very well, Rick Simpson.
Oh yeah.
He says that he wants to watch. He watched our show last week when we had Ben Hockman on. He had a lot of comments and everything. He wanted to watch today, but he's been declined, so you can watch right now. But tell everybody about you and Rick real quick, how y'all met, or how the friendship started and everything.
Oh man, so what happens at the V stays at the V. So no, Rick's always been, like I can't remember. I think he was a year older than me. Yeah, because I think he came out 89.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my friends actually were in the 89 class. And he and I just became cool because he was an athlete. He ran cross country as well. And just, everybody that knows anything about Vashon is like Vashon basketball is like, is Vashon, period. Unfortunately, for
I know
some people find out the hard way.
too well. I was on both ends of it, so yeah.
Right, so because he was an athlete, we just naturally gelled together. But then at some point I came up with this idea, man, to start this little fraternity within the V.
The V got a fraternity?
We had one, man. It was just like just within the players. I mean, within the students. And
you can't talk about that neither, huh?
Yeah, what happens at the V stays at the V. Like when they took the 34-5 down, it went down with them. Okay. But Rick was a part of that. Mm-hmm. And so it was only a few basketball players and football players, and so we really became close as it relates to that. So Rick, that's my dude, man. Plus his dad was like influential person,
Ronald Simpson,
man. And just to see his dad and the type of figure he was amongst us as athletes and things like that was huge, because a lot of us, again, a lot of us didn't know who our dads were, or didn't, fathers wasn't around. So for his dad to be there and have that presence kind of was big for us too.
Mm-hmm. So now, you also coached for a year, correct, at Vashon? Is that correct? So
yeah.
how did that feel?
Well, I coached 3 years at the V.
Okay, 3 years. So how did that feel going back to your
Man,
alma mater and then coaching?
it was bittersweet. Initially, it was good because I left Kirkwood because they needed some help, and there were some things that were going on with the people that were working in the St. Louis school district that weren't coaching, and so there was a little pressure there, and so they needed some help. So I ended up coming back being an offensive coordinator my first year under Jeremy Davis. And that year, we actually had a really good team because we had about 7 or 8 basketball players that were actually on the football team as well. And was coaching at that time was myself, Jeremy Davis, Coach Trey Porter that was at Roosevelt. We had Brian Sutherland. So we had a really good coaching staff and Tubbs too, Darius Tubbs. So we had a really good coaching staff with a lot of experience, and we had a lot of good talent. So we ended up going to the district championship, losing the CA that year. So it was kind of a disappointing season because we had the talent, but we could have easily been in the quarterfinals like they were. So fast forward to the next year, I was named a head coach. And so it's a difference being, assistant there and, being a head coach where you're in charge of everything. But for me, it was a great kind of like homecoming in my eyes because I'm like, man, I finally get a chance to come back and give back where it all kind of started for me. However, it wasn't the best experience because the lack of support from administration, lack of support from faculty. I felt like I was fighting on every hand to kind of be successful, and so and coupled with that, I wasn't in the building. So I'm working at Sumner, and then I'm coming over to Vashon. So, while I'm like probably like the safest dude on the streets, you know what I'm saying? Because I know kids from both Sumner and Vashon.
Right.
It still was where I wasn't there with my kids every day. So it created a situation where there were things that were happening in the building that I had no control over. But then faculty would see it as, some faculty members would see it as, we don't have no control over the kids. They just doing whatever they want to do. But my thing is kind of where I come from, the old Vashon's, like it was a family. Everybody supported everybody.
Right.
And so it wasn't quite the experience I was looking for. And then the next year, I think we was like 4-7 or something like that year. And then the next year we lost everybody and we was like 1-9 or something. The only team we beat was Sumner. We had a bunch of freshmen and sophomores, probably like 20 kids on the team. And so that experience was even worse because just the amount of things that were going on within the school. And anytime you have probably, and I'm not accurate on this, but roughly 14 administrators or 14 principals in like 16 or 17 years, like there's no stability.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. And so when you have, that type of turnover, every year there's a lack of consistency with leadership. And what I found is, I'm trying to come over and instill some discipline, trying to instill some structure, and where they can kind of try to do whatever they want to do from 8 to 3, but then we come out and say, hey, you out here at 8:20 or 3:25, the locker room is being locked, period.
Yeah.
Or you're not practicing. Then it becomes a problem because then they can go back, start complaining to somebody else, and then and so it was one of those things where it was difficult to try to really build something because of the lack of support just holistically. And whereas Tony Irons has had tremendous success, coaching basketball.
I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah,
because of the success of the basketball team, that's where the focus really, really lies.
Yeah, I mean, and he has he has his program on lock, but a lot of those kids come from other places, like they're not the neighborhood or such kid. You get the best kids that play together at AAU. They already kind of work ethic. They already understand what it means to be disciplined. And they want to play together, and then you got 15 guys as opposed to trying to get 35 guys.
Exactly.
And so that's a big difference. And so Coach Irons would try to give me a couple things to kind of try to help, but at the end of the day, it's just a different clientele when you talk about basketball and football players, and then the amount of success that they've had. They get the best of the best, and and those kids want to play,
right,
as opposed to you walk in the hallways and just trying to beg people to come out. Like, hey man, you like 6'2", like 250, why don't you come out and play football? Oh, well, and those guys with the basketball team, like they want to play, and they have a dedication, they work hard, and that's the thing that I think nobody really realizes about Vashon basketball that I've seen, they outwork everybody. If you ever get a chance to watch them practice, I mean, it's real, you know, and that's why on top of the talent, but they work extremely hard. And when they don't, you know, he demands that they work even harder and get it right. And so when you have that type of that program and foundation, you know, it's easy to get guys to buy in. And so I was trying to get guys to buy into the program, and then after 2 years, they really just didn't. The support wasn't there, so I decided to kind of resign and go back to Kirkwood.
I got a question real quick. You said you coached 1 year at Vashon?
3. I was head coach 2 years, and I was there as an OC 1 year.
So y'all lost to CA, which is Career Academy, right?
Yeah, you went to CA?
Nah, I just want to take a little stab at you because you know CA. Where CA? Where were they located?
Yeah, they at the old Vashon.
Yeah, so you let them take y'all building and beat y'all at the same time.
Like, yeah, it's bad.
Okay.
I never beat them either. So.
Oh man, I just want to take a little jab at him because I heard him say CA. I'm like, I know you ain't told the people that took over y'all school.
Right. So tell them what school you went to.
I went to VAP, went to Central.
Okay.
So, real quick. So my junior year, this is why I don't like Vashon. There's a number of reasons, but
like everybody else in the city.
Yeah. So my dad,
my
dad played for Sumner, so he played against Coach Irons.
Okay.
So they had their little thing or whatever. So then I wanted to go to Vashon my sixth grade and 7th grade. My dad was like, anywhere but there. You good? Anywhere but there. So fast forward, my junior year, we had a new coach, and I played a good game the game before, and he told me I wouldn't get my teammates involved a lot because I was just scoring. So next game, I was like, I ain't even gonna shoot the first half. I'm gonna show them these dudes can't score. So they missing layups, this and that. So he told me it was my fault. We argued, I ended up leaving the team, and we played in the Midnight Basketball League. So my little brother was a freshman, so his group is what took over the varsity team because a couple of us left. Vashon beat us by 94 points. They didn't let up at all.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there watching the game.
That's bad.
And I'm watching them throw the ball at the backboard, shoot long threes. I say, man, if I play next year, it's over. So half of them was on my AAU team. So the next year, you know, we got a new coach. I decided to come on board or whatever. And so right before we played them, the school had an issue where they came and practiced at our gym. Now, they got the nerve to tell us we going to start practice later than usual so they could practice. And long story short, we ended up beating them.
What?
Yeah.
I was on the bench that game.
The biggest turnaround in PHL history. We lost by 94 points the year before.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many did you score?
I had 24 that game.
What?
Yeah. It was evenly distributed because we only had 5 players, really.
Okay.
We only had like one bench player that played. And like I told him last show, we had a guy that was known for missing layups. So he got a steal, and I was like, I know he gonna miss it. And nobody else know I'm finna miss. And it came softly up top, and I dunked it hard. I just looked at Floyd like, because he wanted me in my center at one point, especially I saying he really wanted him. So, that was my little brush with them. Like, but yeah, it was a lot of times my freshman and sophomore year, I was just looking in the sky waiting on a dunk to come.
Wow.
So yeah.
At least you got a chance to beat them, though.
Right. Yeah, and then not too many people can say that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not
yeah.
a lot of people can say that.
The team came in with the mindset of this is bad. We got this, no problem.
Right.
And boom.
Yeah. I mean, we knew the players, so we had kind of advantage. And then the fact that only thing I hate is that it happened the first game of the PHL season.
Okay.
So now we got the bullseye on our back.
Right.
So we got everybody's best for the rest of the year. We weren't even that good of a team, really. So,
man.
But yeah, that was a personal game for me, man.
I might ask them about that next time I see him.
Who? Floyd?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He hate talking about it. They tried to interview him about it. He tried to brush past it. And we was like yelling through the hallways, like, tell him to meet us at the Y. Tell him to meet us at Fairground then. We'll beat him again. Because some of his players played with us that summer. So we was like, yeah, a couple of them like backed us up, so like,
Man, that AAU thing is serious.
Yeah, it's crazy now. Yeah. Yeah, because they made like it was a lucky game, and we was like, oh, nah, hold on. They not finna play our win like that, man.
Y'all about to go skins and shirts.
Man. It was on site. Wherever y'all would have, hey, I was a hooper, man. Like, we played on milk crates. We played with the little flat ball. Like, all right, no dribbling. We just gonna shoot. Yeah. Like, however y'all wanted to hoop.
Man, I know. No excuses. You brought back the milk crate.
The milk crate.
You brought back the milk crate, Grandpa Pig.
Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you the weirdest pickup game we ever had on my block. Shout out to Garrissy over in Walnut Park. So we didn't have a milk crate, we didn't have a hoop, this and that. I'm gonna tell you how we hoop. We hooped on a no parking sign. No lie. Mm-hmm. We picked a little kid to stand under the sign. If you shot and it hit the P, that was a bucket. Anything else is considered a miss. So we had somebody sit there and look at the sign while we hooping, and he calling it out. That's good. That's a miss.
Wow.
That's how I know we were some hoopers, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's serious.
Yeah.
Real quick, shouts out to Hoop It Up, man.
Oh man,
That used to be the lick back in the day.
that was the best experience of my life, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, man.
As far as sports,
Y'all cool experiences. Matthew Dickey, Herbert Hoover.
you should have went to Matthew Dickey. We told you that a couple shows ago.
Man,
That's why you don't know
about
nothing.
what happened a couple shows.
Well, you need to
talked about it.
What happened?
Yeah, tell Bishop, man.
What had happened?
First of all, tell him where you went and see if he knows.
right,
See if he ever heard of it.
Right.
We're not talking about
This
that.
alleged
That's not what
boys
we
club. I'm still even look up and find out if it's real.
we here for.
It was either Dickey or Hoover. Nothing else count. Nobody else counts.
Excuse me for playing with the financially elite. I am sorry.
Yeah, you was at a tennis club.
They
Oh man.
Oh man, we was where it went down at, man. You played everything at Dickey, man. They got a pool table as soon as you come in, somebody calling you out.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah, so Stan is a
Where'd he go? Right.
is an alumni of.
I'm a proud alumni.
There it is.
Damn it, of the JCC,
Which is?
the Jewish Community Complex. Look,
Are you serious?
But high school wise,
look. No, because I want to go back to the JCC.
All right,
So
all
what
right.
they have skill. But damn it, I was chilling every weekend in 3-story houses, drinking fancy Capri.
Right, going to bar mitzvahs and everything.
No, I didn't get invited.
Oh man,
has some
No, I ain't celebrate coupon until I
you know all the lawyers in St. Louis.
Freeman Bobby Jr.
Not crazy. Only one of their parents was a lawyer.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else was doctors.
Okay.
Wow.
There it is.
So yeah, too bad they ain't make it as lawyers, huh? They just had to settle and be doctors.
Right.
Yeah, that's all.
Shame.
Lower
Right.
pay
I don't even want to tell you what my teammates' parents did.
Had to settle for hands-on work.
Right. Right. How dare you be a doctor? Go to school for 12 years. Right.
But then to answer this question, I went to high school at U City. Shout out
All right,
to
The Lions, baby.
Bradley Bill, because his mama worked at our school. And
My
his
grandfather
mama-
was the
his
principal
mama
there.
Wasn't no joke at U City.
Yeah.
Hey.
George Baker. When Nelly and them was there, yeah.
Right. That's what
Yeah.
I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Nelly.
Yep.
Nelly.
Yep.
So when you think of U City, you think of what?
When I think of U City, I mean, you know, everybody,
Think of Hakeem.
I'm going to ask you a name, see if you
everybody
know.
think about Nelly. You know, yeah, everybody think about Nelly. But another person that I think about when I think of U City, and a lot of people don't think about this man, is Leonard West. A lot of y'all are trying to figure out who.
I know.
Right. I'm like, who's Leonard West?
Leonard West is. Leonard West is the bald-headed brother from Drumline.
Guess who?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
U
Okay.
Okay.
City alumni.
The dude that was
and
into it with Nick
also
Cannon at first.
His
Yeah.
birth certificate said Akon.
But look, check this out. He was
Akon from
my
UC.
he was my old
Are you?
neighbor.
Swear.
So I knew him. Me and him were very tight back in the day.
Man, me and Leonard
He
goes way
stayed.
back
He
till we
stayed.
got Hollywood.
I stayed on the end of the corner. There was a house in between us. Boom, he's right there. So yeah, I knew him.
Call him now
Okay.
Leonard.
Hey, I got a
First.
UCD name for
You
you.
got to use the name for me. Okay.
So this is a legend though. If you don't know who this guy is, you really didn't go to UCD.
Oh, he
This
called
is
you out.
legend.
It is
Who you
pressure's
about to say? You
on.
about to say Christopher Jones, are you?
Chris P.
Chris P. Chris P.
Crispy bacon.
Man, this dude is a legendary hooper at U City.
Like how legendary we talking?
Like,
I don't know. OG,
Beating the
I ain't-
V, like on par with the V legendary. Like those U City
I
teams.
thought you said
Like-
beating the V. I was
like
when
Anthony
you
Brown.
played?
Right,
Yeah, like
John Tunsil, like
yeah,
Right.
That crew. Yeah, Chris P.
I'm
Chris
pretty
P.
sure his name.
He
was
went to
hanging
U
up
City. You
somewhere.
got you
I
got.
was say,
His name should be on the court.
oh no, they got the
U
court
City.
name.
I'm about to ask my U City guys about
Yeah,
him,
seriously,
man.
like that dude.
I wish
he
my
was the
grandfather
deal.
was still alive. I know I asked him.
No, they got the court named after somebody. I
Oh,
don't
yeah?
remember who it was.
U City kind of unique. I coached at U City football for 1 year with Gateway. I can't think of his first name.
Gatewood.
Gatewood. Yeah. U City is kind of a unique place, though.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about
I
how
know we got a chance to play against them. We played Normandy, but we never played U City.
Man, look, let me tell you something. We legally can't play Normandy no more.
I know. You said that. Yeah, that's crazy.
It got that bad.
Wow.
But look, the glory days of playing with Coach Gatewood, back when everything was good. And then the other guy came in there, and then it just went.
Dang.
Who's the other guy? Carl Reed was there too, right?
Yeah. Ooh. Let me tell you something about Coach Reed. Lord. That was the one time I was like, man, I'm going to play football. Nah, but Coach Reed, no, sir. Like, if one of us messed up, the whole team.
Getting it.
And then what's crazy is I got into a fight with the dude in class because he was a class clown. I'm like, so you going to keep making us carry these 25-pound weights by hand up and down a 4-story school?
Yep.
But you're going to have to see me in class.
Wow.
I couldn't ball up a fist because I had all the blisters. And I was like, wow, open hand slap.
Right, elbow you or something,
I
man.
backhand you strong.
Man, me and my girl saw a meme the other day with some kids standing up against the wall, the little wall drill, defensive drill, and they was crying. And she's like, who would do a kid like that? First of all, I grew up on that.
Everybody. Let me
Either you had a dictionary in each hand, and you got to keep them up like that, or you was in push-up position, or you was on that wall.
Yeah.
I was like, that's how we used to get disciplined. There wasn't no timeouts and yelling at, nah, go grab you a couple dictionaries, Baker. I'm like, come on, man, really?
Wait, what is it? When you got to get, like, what? And then, like, when your knee was bent, all right, you locked in.
Man, don't start cheating.
I remember the first day, man, this ain't even bad.
Okay.
5 minutes.
Start shaking.
Yeah. Man. Boy, that 6-inch drill, when you have your feet 6 inches off the ground, you land there and sit up position.
Yeah.
Sir.
All right, everyone.
That's
This is the Platform Sports Talk Show. This has been a great show so far.
Yeah.
Your boy Smooth along with
Stanton, baby.
and
B. Baker.
and special guest.
Bishop.
But no.
My voice cracked.
Oh, man.
Thanks for watching our show. I hope y'all enjoying. Please share with the peoples.
Yes.
So let's get into college. So
Man.
you're going to Ohio State. Tell everybody.
Let's not, because I'm pretty sure
You must have been
that's
a
a
Clemson
subject.
Yeah, you know it is.
You know what I'm talking
Clemson.
about.
Clemson fan over here.
So the experience of just playing for Ohio State, playing in front of 100,000 people every Saturday.
It's called the horseshoe, right?
Right, the horseshoe.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience.
Oh man, it was a great experience. I mean, just running out with that many people, yelling and screaming. I mean, it's just unreal, man. It's kind of undescribable what it's like, but the adrenaline, man, is going when you hear all those people, especially it's like a big game, and they extra hype.
Michigan.
Where you can't even
You're
can't
not
even
gonna
hear
say
it.
that. You're supposed to say that school up north.
Yeah,
Right.
the team up north. We don't even acknowledge them by name.
Blue and gold.
But yeah, it's a good experience, man, and yeah.
Now, I
It's
just
real.
want to ask, because you went, is it true that on those days where you would play that school up north, the letter M was non-existent?
Non-existent.
It was
Crossed
that
out.
bad.
Dang.
Oh,
Crossed out, everything. Can't type it on no papers, anything. Put an X
Dang.
where
so
M is.
if you're in college, the professors understood, right? It's like
They
it's
understand.
rivalry week.
Gotta change your mom name to
Yeah, everything goes out the window, man. Again,
My
that
old
week.
lady.
Right.
Yeah, it's a real rivalry.
So, did you ever pull a Willie Beeman?
Oh Lord.
Oh,
Playing, in front of 100,000 fans. It had to be some
Oh Lord.
some fluids missing at some point, at some time, where, I'm just giving you a quick, because I did it twice, man. I ain't gonna lie, my athletic
my
career.
Willie Beeman moment. Was
Man,
went on out, had a great time.
mine was at Matthew Dickey in the championship game of baseball. I think I told y'all that when I peed on myself. But in baseball, you can't sub.
Right.
Once you out, you out.
Yeah.
So this is like the longest inning ever. I don't know how this inning just kept lasting with nobody getting on base. But for whatever reason, so I'm holding. I'm like, man, all right, we got 2 outs. We almost
I was
done.
like, bro, I gotta pay.
This dude hit the highest pop fly I've ever seen. It was in the 8th grade championship. And I'm keeping my eye on the ball, but I was like, man, I'm just going to let it go. And when the game was over with, the first thing the coach said, and we got guys peeing on themselves to win this game. That's one time I'm like, come on, coach. Like, coach, you ain't got to go there, man. Right. This is the commitment we talking about. Right. Dedication. Yeah. So,
You ain't made for the game.
oh, man.
wow.
Yeah,
For
man.
baseball?
Baseball, 8th grade championship at Matthew Dickey.
Wow.
We was at James Cooper Bell Stadium.
Yeah, right
And
there.
man,
I love playing there.
Me too, man. That was my first time playing there that game too. So it felt like you had a real MLB stadium when you were in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I can't come out, man. I ain't coming out. So
Wow.
yeah,
Y'all gonna have to keep me in.
yeah.
So
I never had one of those.
who were some notable NFL players that you played with or against during your time?
Man, I'm gonna start with people I played against. When I was in Denver, I started nickel. I was a nickel back. Started first game against the Dallas Cowboys. They yell out nickel. You know, I run in first person I go line up against is Michael Irvin.
Ooh, the playmaker.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Michael Irvin, like serious. He gave me a little slap and everything. You know what I mean. It's pass interference, man. Like you
His
know.
nose wasn't white, was it?
It might have been. It might have been.
Like a little light going out there.
So you know Michael Irvin, Jerry Rice. What was the other guy that was
amazing, man.
opposite
To play against those two legends.
Exactly. That alone, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because to me, well, not to me, but in regards to my personal favorite wide receiver is Michael Irvin.
Okay.
So when you say this name, I'm like, man, that's the dude right
Yeah.
there to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, then it's like everybody's. I was kind of like, man, it's like Michael Irvin, like, wow, I'm like lining up across from this dude. But you know, when we was against San Francisco, again in a nickel situation, there we actually had a chance to practice against them. We played in Tokyo, I think the Tokyo Bowl, and so I got a chance to line up against him and was it John Taylor, who was the other guy that was opposite Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of who else was good. That defensively, Reggie White. You know, seeing
Preacher.
him play.
The Reverend, I mean.
Yeah.
The other Reverend, huh?
Man, this
This is.
But see, he played when it went down. That was
Right.
real deep. And I was gonna ask you later on in the show about defense, how you feel about it now. But you know, while we on subject, like, so how do you coach defensive players in this day and age where you strictly on anticipatory stages? Like, you can't be a second late because you might get thrown out the game.
Yeah.
At that point, so like, what's your mindset as a coach teaching a defensive player how to like put the brakes on at the last minute or to follow through with a play without being penalized to the point where it's going to cost your team the game?
And still pop them.
Yeah,
It's still lay the wood on them. Yeah.
it's the game has changed, you know, and that's
Right.
the one thing that people don't really understand, because now is more about the safety, because with all the concussions and then
Right.
you know you talk about lawsuits and things like that people are paying money, people are paying out because of all those different things. So now they have what's called heads up tackling. That's a technique where you instead of, because you know when we were playing, it was like we taught to put your head on the football.
Right.
Now you're taught to put your head on the opposite side of, so if the guy's running to the left, you got to put your head to the right, out of the way, which is completely the opposite of what we've been taught. You put your head across to actually put your head in the way to kind of stop him from going forward or anything like that, or put your head on the ball. So you got that, and then you have what's known as the rugby style of tackling, which is now, instead of the big hits, you are actually going to tackle his legs and roll.
Right.
So grab and roll.
Right.
And that's kind of where the technique has gone from just, you know, run through a guy and, you know, run through him as hard as you can and hit him as hard as you can, to now, you know, the heads up football, see what you hit, put your head to the opposite side, and then the rugby tackling, which is effective because a lot of times now, you know, and what has happened too, the game is so much faster. Guys are more shiftier, you know,
Right.
and there's a lot more missed tackles.
Exactly.
So when you see a team that's really bad defensively, again, probably a lot of the problem is they're just not good tacklers.
Right.
A lot of arm tackles, a lot of missed tackles, guys running past the tackle. And so when you teach those different techniques, it's you have to break down. And so even with the heads up in the rugby tackle, you break down and you kind of shuffle to the nearest hip, and so it allows you to still be in play, but actually at the same time it takes away from the impact because you're not coming full speed.
Right. And you gotta understand, like, if you got like a smaller back, how hard they got to be to get that low to tackle his legs, or like you said, lower your head and kind of shift. If he shift this way, you got to reshift, and
Yeah.
you know, when you come in full speed ahead of somebody, they already got an advantage because they running downhill on you.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, and then like I said, the guys now, I mean, with all the agility and the training and all the change of direction stuff that's out there, people are better, and so now you almost can't come full speed,
Right.
you know, because guys are not straight line guys anymore. And so the ability to be able to break down. And I always teach, especially like even on kickoff with the guys at Kirkwood, we had a couple of situations where even on JV they were missing tackles. Like, man, you have to break down 5 yards before you get to the returner, because guys just sprint. You know, they taught to just sprint down as fast as you can. Like, but you at some point you have to break down, you know, and make him go east and west as opposed. Because if not, you're gonna run right past. As soon as he give you a little move, head fake, and you just natural your instincts, you just gonna go with it. You're gonna go flying, you know, into the water cooler. You know what I mean? Like, have some Gatorade, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, because you done break down. You know, and so that's the thing. Like, you got to be able to be under control, and that's kind of where the off-season training makes a big difference, because when you start doing like lunges and squats and things like that, where you have low center of gravity, you can still be explosive within 5 yards.
Right.
And so those are the kind of the techniques that kind of make the difference in this era of football.
Who was your head coach doing Ohio State?
John Cooper. John Cooper was my coach.
Okay.
So I was in I always say the winless Michigan Cooper era.
Yeah.
I didn't beat Sumner. I didn't beat Michigan.
What were your thoughts on?
You're not a good rivalry guy, are you?
Right.
Rivalries in that.
Right. Man, then he beat Career Academy.
Yeah.
Like, man.
Right. He beat them either.
Man, all you gotta do is have beef with the bishop and you might have success.
Man.
What were your thoughts on?
There you go. There it is.
right.
Shout out to Dr. King.
Right. On Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer.
I got a chance to work with Urban closely because I was the team chaplain for the team in 2002 to 2015 when I came back here to St. Louis. So I got a chance to be up close with him and kind of see how he works. And so I'm a little biased towards him as opposed to Tressel. From what I know about Tressel, he was, again, just pretty strict disciplinarian guy, just, you know, but at the same time, not a lot of wiggle room for like style and guys' personalities. They were all kind of cut out of the Tressel way, and they all kind of talked the same. You know, very, very button-up type of guys. Which, you know, that was his style. He was successful, and he had guys that buy into it. And the one thing that I do know about Tressel is, and both Tressel and Urban, is that they develop those players more than just on the field. And anytime you would go into the facilities when Tressel was there, I mean, you would see different things. I still have a stack of cards that I have from when the Tressel was there, and I think it's the MACD approach or technique or something. But it has all these cards, and it's got the Ohio State graphics and stuff on it. But it has like leadership on there, like responsibility, and it's literally like a deck of cards. And they had these cards in each player's locker. And so it was there were things like that he was constantly poured into those young men, and his guys are doing tremendous things outside of football now. Going to Urban again, he was a big person that was working towards his faith. He infused faith heavily into his program, which is and I would say that same thing about Clemson and Dabo Swinney. Those two programs mirror each other like almost identical. They were both, every year they would take turns like sending their staff. So one year Ohio State staff would go down to Clemson, and then the next year Clemson would come up to Ohio State, and they would just learn from each other. And that's been going on for a while in the Urban era. So, but one of the things that they did was they infused faith heavily into their program. And one of the things that I got a chance to do is, again, be a part of the chaplain team there. And after one of my messages to the team, and it was about love, I came back in the next time they asked me to speak, and they had my 3 points from my sermon like on the team board. And so Urban was like, "You see that?" And I'm like, "Man, like, are you freaking kidding me?" He's just like that's our team mantra from this point forward.
How many free LeBron James shoes did you get?
I ain't get too many. I got a couple pair of shoes. Because the thing with them too, everything is like catalog with Nike, so it's like they gotta account for everything. Yeah. I mean, I got a couple, sweatsuits and things like that. But they were like two totally different styles of approach, because Urban was like in your face type of guy. You mess up. I remember just like literally moments after I did like the chapel service. Like they got like a 10-minute break and they came back in. I was showing my family like the pictures. You know, I was on the team and he was letting it like turn into him. Like, look at that. You know what I mean? Just like, this is some bullshit. You know, and so it was. Tressel never was that way.
Right.
You know, but I think Urban again had just that thing that he came with success, came with championships under his belt. But a lot of people don't really understand him. I would say he probably one of the most misunderstood coaches that's out there, because I got a chance to kind of sit with him, talk to him about some different things, learned a lot of football, had access to their entire football library of plays and things like that. They just pretty much opened the door for me to come in and learn. And at the time, I was coaching at Reynoldsburg High School, and so I learned a lot from him and asked him questions about coaching, because at the time I was a head coach in Columbus as well, and you know things were not going well, so I would ask him, you know, some advice. So I kind of have a little bit of Urban, you know, in me for his coaching style and just, you know, the methods, and definitely, you know, my style of offense comes from him. But he's just a good coach, man. I mean, and the one thing that I used to ask every coach that was on his staff, like, what makes Urban different? You know, and the thing that all of them said is that everybody is always on the same page. Like, and he does a great job of aligning everybody to one message. And, you know, and I'm like, man, everybody's saying the same thing, not, you know, in different ways, but what they were saying. And so a couple who gave me example, like in our coaches staff meetings, he would ask a coach, put a coach on the spot and ask them, okay, give them a situation, give them a scenario, how do you respond? You know, and then, you know, they would have to respond right there in front of the whole staff. And then they would discuss that, dissect it, and say, you know, we have to be able to speak the same language at all times. So no matter if it was the DB coach or the running back coach or the last guy on the staff, they were all speaking the same language. And that's the one thing that I'm like, man, like that makes that much of a difference. But being around different coaches and different cultures, even in high school and even at Kirkwood currently, trying to help our head coach with, you know, help change our culture to get to a point where we're all speaking the same language, because I just know how important that can be. So,
Yeah.
What do you tell parents who are discouraged about having their sons or nowadays daughters play football?
Well, I mean, I would say just never limit their opportunities to play, because it can lead them to different play. And I know it's the whole thing about concussions and people concerned about the safety, but I mean, you can walk across the street and, you know, and fall down, and slip on some ice. You know what I mean? Like, I was walking out of Sumner the other day and I almost slipped down. You know, just like, man, you know what I mean? Thank God I got a little bit more athleticism than most people. I fell and bust my head on the night. Right? You know, I've been on workman's comp. You know, but you know, but it's you can get hurt doing anything, and I think it's that we're in a society where we're just hypersensitive to everything.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just society has bred that fear into us, and my thing would be like, again, you know, you gotta choose fear or faith. You know, you can't do both. You're gonna be fearful your whole life or have some faith that somebody's gonna do something, and it might give a kid a chance to do something different. And get out, you know, not that they're gonna play in the NFL, play for a Division I program, but they could possibly get a free education. And they can get out of St. Louis or anywhere else that they're at just by playing sports. So I would tell them, like, man, let them play. If they want to play, let them play.
I'm glad you said that, man. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was talking about how sports creates your awareness around you, you know. And I was like, just simple daily tasks. When you see people like almost get hit by a car or something fall in front, like a lot of people freeze up. Your reaction time is slower. Yes. So when you pick up on any sport, no matter which kind it is, your reaction time is a lot faster, your split decision making and all that stuff. Yeah. So that's why I'm glad you said that, because I tell people that all the time. I'm like, it at least make you cognizant of what's going on around you, if nothing else. Yes. Like, can't nobody just pick up a hand and get ready to hit you. You just stand there like, oh, we on him. You gonna at least move. Like, hold up, man.
Man, that's funny you say it, because I mean, you know, I'm a preacher, but I still grew up. I went to the V. You know what I mean? I'm still from the. Right. So I got on the elevator to go to the store, to come from the grocery store. And it was a dude that got on the elevator. He, you know, I had the button pressed, and he just got on and just kind of looked like, you know, and I was thinking to myself, okay, just that instinct, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if this dude move, you know what I mean, I'm just going to be ready. You know, and in my mind, I was just already thinking, you know what I mean, getting my hands and stuff ready. But you're right, because it's the instincts, man. I mean, you just can't. That's something that you can't teach. You know what I mean? It's something that you develop. Hand-eye coordination.
Exactly. Because everybody ain't from the hood like us. So you gotta have something.
You gotta have something, you know. And then it's just, I mean, to me, it teaches you work ethic.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Discipline,
Yep.
structure.
Yep.
And you know, and those things, sometimes the parent tries to get those things across, but when you actually are part of a team and you got another coach, you have 5 coaches, you know, and things don't go well, you have to face some adversity, because you're not going to always win unless you're the V.
Even if he don't win, I got the trophy case to show that. Everybody take a loss. That's part of my final segment. Matter of fact, I just thought of something.
Yeah, so I mean, it teaches them build character too, man. I think all kids need they need to make it. And Coach Trey Porter, give him a shout out for this. Coach Trey Porter and I talked about this. They need to make it mandatory for kids to graduate to play and participate in some type of athletic sport. Something.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
Anything.
they have requirements, you know, math, English, like you need to participate in something, because you're going to learn something from it.
Yeah. See, back earlier, I know you know about this, they used to make us have PE. They made you have that. That was a requirement. And there was a reason for that. Now it's like they took it away.
Yep.
And that's the reason why everything kind of going the way it's going now.
Everybody takes it as a joke.
Yeah, like it's just an easy class. You know what I'm saying? Like home ec was important. Shop class was important.
Now look at everybody. Can't cook, can't build.
Can't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can't play no sport.
Can't change a tire.
Can't do nothing, man. Everybody got roadside assistance, man. I had
can't put oil.
a little dude a couple months ago, man. I pulled up to the gas station, and him and his girl was arguing because he had the little regular jack.
Yeah.
He's scraping his knuckles up, and I got a floor jack in my truck. So I just kind of slid it to him. I want to save the day. I want him to still show his girl he can change the tire. I said, hey, let me just help you right quick. And, you know, I pumped it up for him. You know, he went on ahead and changed it. But I told the girl, I was like, you yelling at him, but he at least tried. How many guys, you know, look at the pants he got on. He down on his knees trying to get this tire. You know what I'm saying? He has some shoes on. And he down there, you know, trying to get, he trying though. Don't never frustrate somebody from trying.
Absolutely.
And that goes back to the mindset of what's going on nowadays in high school. You know, it's that peer pressure. You know, like people don't
Everybody
appreciate
wants stuff done right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's a whole different culture.
Yeah.
So once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. This has been a great conversation.
Yes.
Speaking with Butler Banote.
Bishop.
Well,
great conversation.
You were ready for that one, was you? Yeah, he rode the wave on that one.
Right. So once again, please
gotta
share this stream with your peoples right now. Is Maurice Claggett the most interesting man in Ohio State?
Maurice Claret.
I mean,
Claret,
I'm sorry, Claret.
Yeah, he, man. Again, I didn't know. I met him once. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about him, but yeah, that whole thing was just
crazy,
interesting, man. And to me, he's kind of lumped in that category with Terrell Pryor that, to me, got too much too soon.
Yeah.
And because some of those things, I don't want to spill all Ohio State's business, but
Here on the platform.
Right. Let's do a hot take.
The Ohio State University.
But some, you know, some of that stuff is just a part of the culture. You know, it is what it is. That's kind of what makes us who we are, and it's been going on for years. But when you get people that get it too quickly without earning it or feeling like they're entitled to it, it means nothing. And so a lot of guys like myself that played there, we were just disappointed at some of those things that come out, because it doesn't have to be that way. Because again, it's like, we're a family. All this stuff is supposed to be kept in house, and there's a certain way that you conduct yourself with those things. But I just think, and I know now that he's learned from his mistake, because now he's doing like some speaking tours. He's written a book, and he's transformed his life. I mean, but and you got to think too, these things are, when you're 16, 17 years old, and you know, and you pretty much have been given access to everything. The world is just right there at your fingertips, and then you the man, you good, and you playing national championship. If it wasn't for you, they wouldn't be there.
Right.
And if you don't have the right people around you, you know, and then you don't have the right structure in your life, then it's easy to go, because that's a place and I hate to say it like this, but it's kind of like an NFL type of situation, you know what I mean? Like it's a city that's, the whole town is supporting Ohio State football, even though basketball and all those type of things are there, but that's the main show. And
every national fan.
Yeah, and I remember when I first came back, I came to St. Louis for something, and I was looking for the Ohio State game, and I went to Buffalo Wild Wings. We call it BW3s in Columbus. And I went in to watch the game. BW3.
We call it B-Dubs here.
I'm about to say, we just say
BW3.
Right.
So I went to the game. And I went in, and it was packed with Ohio State fans. I'm like, man, am I in Columbus or St. Louis?
Right.
That's crazy. So it's one of those things where it's an entity all by itself.
Right.
And when you have that much influence at 16, 17 years old,
Right.
and you kind of giving the keys to the Bentley, it's like you just got your driver's license, bro. Like, you really shouldn't be driving this car.
Yeah.
And I think that he picked it up, went out, drove it, and wrecked it. And now, with social media the way it is, and it ain't the way it is now than it was, but it still was a little bit hyped up. Things can spread quickly, and when you don't have that proper grounding to be humble about it, it can just be one of those situations that can blow up. And then the dude try to take on the NFL.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, again, those are people that are around him, influencing him the wrong way. But at this point, you 17, maybe 18, maybe 19 years old. And so I just applaud him for getting up, and God's been graceful to all of us because we've all made mistakes, right?
Yep.
And I know I have, and I'm just thankful that my stuff hadn't been put on blast,
Exactly.
Because there were some times with some stuff we did some stuff at Ohio State, we had a lot at our disposal, and so and like I said, being an alumni, we just kind of like, man, why is it like that? Because it didn't have to be that way. You don't have to take that type of stance, and especially publicly, because we know there's certain people get certain type of liberties there, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. So going to present day, thoughts on the current coach and that loss to Clemson.
Man,
you gonna bring up old stuff? No.
the Clemson Tigers. Coach Day, I'm an urban guy. I'm an urban fan. Coach Day obviously has done a great job, but the team was already in place. I assume that he's just kind of came in and did it his way a little bit. Still not really sold on exactly what he's going to be about. And one thing I can't say, I don't really know him like this. It don't really matter. I just didn't like the way he handled the loss. All of us were understanding of the calls were controversial. The fumble or the targeting call. But they had their opportunities to win the game.
Did. Hey, it was something he played. I think J.K. Dobbins, he dropped a potential touchdown in the end zone.
Yep.
Then he had an option for a long screen pass, probably to the end zone, and he dropped the ball.
He dropped that one
So
too.
you can't say that the ref blew the game.
And then the red zone, you settle for field goals in the red zone.
Yeah.
And so obviously I want them to win. I just like, man, we had our chances. Like we blew it. You know what I mean? And then we had a chance at the end to go win it, and we threw a pick. So, but and for me. Again, for him to watch the press game conference afterwards, and for him to be upset is okay, but to talk about the calls didn't go our way and all that, I was like, man, you can't do, because what's going to happen now is the next year those referees are going to remember that.
Right.
And they're going to start talking, among themselves, and, he's a guy that likes to cry. And so I just wasn't really, like that just wasn't a good look for me for Ohio State. You know what I mean? Like a crybaby as a coach, you know what I mean? Like, man, we lost. Let's take the L. Let's keep it moving. You know what I mean? Let's get on the road. Y'all getting on the road tomorrow. Go talk to some more kids. But that just wasn't a good look for me, for our program. And so I'm still not sold on them yet, to be honest. I'm kind of like on the fence, like, yeah, I know we went undefeated till we lost and all that, but that to me kind of showed a little crack in the armor. And so I'm kind of, I want to see how you're going to respond to adversity, you know what I mean? Because anybody can be good when when you win it.
Yeah.
You
Bishop
know.
about to catch some tweets.
Yeah.
He about to get that smoke.
He about to get all of it.
But make sure y'all tag the Platform Sports Talk Show on that as
Please
well.
do. I heard him say on at 314 Sports Talk. That's right.
Yeah, he said, and he owned it. And I don't know what y'all gonna do about it.
No, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, yeah, he
Right.
said it on at 314.
Right, I was right here across the table. I know I said it.
Shouts
Yeah,
out
he
to
said it on a Wednesday, the same way we broadcast it.
There it is.
Every week. Every week.
There it is.
So in there.
Shouts
yeah,
out
he
to
said
Bunny.
it at 7 p.m. Central.
Shouts out to Bunny. She said shouts out to you for being on the show.
All right. Thanks,
She'll be
man.
back next month. Her and Suzanne. So this should be
Oh, Lord.
should be a great show ahead.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
There was a story, wrote a
Be a
story.
great time right
You
there.
gotta go back and look at that episode.
Yeah. Great episode. So
I don't
thoughts
think I was ready to
on
say for the whole show, was it?
and this is
Not
for,
for
of
me.
course for everybody. Thoughts on the national championship game and Joe Burrow. He I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, he was like a man amongst boys out there.
He gonna be an NFL flop. I'm calling it
Please explain why.
because I'm being petty.
Oh, tell him your favorite school.
My favorite school
Right on cue.
is the University of Oregon. Go Ducks.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he dead serious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That
I'm
ain't bad. I thought he was gonna say Clemson. Okay.
Nah, he like the Ducks.
Yeah,
Ducks ain't bad.
yeah.
Worst thing they did was get rid of Chip Kelly, but you know,
Yeah, I agree with that.
we ain't been
They ain't been the same since.
Nah,
We
he ain't.
right.
No,
Ev-
he ain't been right. The school ain't been
The
right.
uniforms don't even look the same. no more.
Everybody to come together. They talking about putting the LED screen under the field. I'm here for that.
What?
Wait,
Have fiber optic turf.
Wow.
That I ain't even heard that.
how's that
That'll be
gonna
lit.
work?
Right.
You know how like they have the LED displays all around the field and stuff. the ones that
Right.
Say first
Yeah,
down,
like when you watching it, like first downs
Okay,
and all that stuff.
here's
Yeah.
the best way to put it. Like what they've been doing with basketball courts
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
end of the game.
yeah.
That a lot on the field.
Wow.
Right, yeah.
I
But
mean,
not
might
during
as well
play,
do
'cause
it.
that's gonna mess.
Right, that's crazy.
Somebody
they
else.
just did some extra stuff on basketball not so long ago. They got the shot clock inside the key now. The top of the
yeah.
key, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
On TNT.
On TNT, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, they getting crazy with it.
I
Man.
think that's pretty cool.
It is cool.
You know,
I'm just saying that's crazy
some
how
people-
technology going though, man.
Right.
Because, you know, if you're looking at it on a small screen, like say you at the gym and they got
Right.
the score, and it's already small on a regular screen, so you
Right.
know it's going to be super small.
Yup.
And then smaller than that is the shot clock.
Like,
You just sitting
exactly.
there
Like you said, going back from playing electric football to where we at now. That's crazy.
Then what's coming next? That's the
That's
thing
the
for
scary
me,
part, yeah.
Like, what are they
Always
gonna do
something
next?
coming up next,
Right.
man.
The
Some
ball
kind
is
of-
going to be a hologram.
Man, they already said they got a new species out. They took some frog DNA and added it with robot DNA and created a new species already.
Oh my lord. Wow.
So hopefully they ain't finna start creating athletes no time
Robot
soon.
frogs?
Yeah, they might have it already.
It was
We
on
just don't
Jalen and
know.
Jacoby earlier.
Frog bots.
So once
Jump out
again,
the gym.
just
Man, you
just
already know, don't get tired.
Right.
Ain't no subs.
What's so vertical? The moon.
Right. Wherever they program it to.
right. So once again, just your thoughts in regards to the national championship game of the day.
I mean, I think it was obviously a good game. I thought that Clemson was actually going to probably win because I had more faith in the defensive coordinator for Clemson. I thought his 3-4, 4-6, and 4-4-3 defense was going to be a little bit more confusing than they would be able to handle. But, you know, give credit to LSU. Joe Burrow, that was from The Ohio State University as well and from Ohio. They came and put on the show. I mean, I hate to see people get beat badly, but I mean that boy number 8 for Clemson just man, the cornerback was just getting toasted. I mean, and I think it was
Marcus Peters.
I think it's going to be what's going to happen. I think a lot of teams are going to take this because they arguably that they're one of the best teams that had in LSU history. It had one of the greatest college seasons. So now a lot of teams are going to start trying to pattern their offenses and their teams after that because of what he did, putting up those type of numbers. And it was just amazing for me to watch Joe Burrow drop dimes like that.
Man.
So easily.
I mean, so I was like, okay, are we watching the next coming of Tom Brady or what? I mean, I don't know because the passes that he was throwing was especially those deep balls, man, were like right on the money. And so I haven't seen anybody besides, again, Dwayne Haskins from a year ago from Ohio State. I mean, throw a deep ball like that, and just for him to be able to come in at that level in the SEC, play that many ranked opponents and put up those type of numbers consistently. And not only is he a pocket passer, he can escape from the pocket and make extended plays on his feet. So it was exciting to see that against the best team in the country, against Clemson, because again, you say like, well, we're gonna see what he's gonna do. The Heisman Trophy winners never won a national championship, so on and so forth.
Change that narrative,
man. Change the whole thing.
Do they beat a healthy Alabama?
Yeah, I think so. I think they were a team that was just destined to win. And one of the things that you can never really measure is the intangible of, I'm just not gonna lose.
Right.
And he has that dog in him that's just like, I just refuse to lose. Because when the game started, even with Clemson, they started out, came out, it looks like, okay, well, they're gonna have them confused. And the thing that I kept hearing them say in the interview and then with the coach, like, once we figured out what they were doing, and that is a testament to a guy that's, one, looking to try to find answers in the game. I'm not waiting to halftime. I'm not waiting till the coaches tell me what to do. But when they come together, you got the coaches that's on the box that can tell you what's going on, and then him on the field trying to figure it out, trying to find answers. Like I'm literally trying to put a dagger in these dudes. Like, so help me figure it out. So I just think that he was one of those guys that had the national stage. And then there's the untold narrative that he was a backup at Ohio State. And I remember I was telling my wife about this. I'll shout out to my wife that's at home probably listening. And that when we was in Columbus when Joe Burrow was there, and I remember the spring game that he had, because he was in competition with, at the time, JT Barrett, and JT was just coming off of being injured, and I remember Joe was playing really well, and they named JT the starter. He said, I didn't come to Ohio State to be a backup, and he bounced.
Yeah.
And so he had a chip on his shoulder from the beginning, like, I'm out to prove everybody wrong. Because he was doing well there, and really, again, they wanted a runner type of, the dual threat type of quarterback and things like that. But he went and did his thing at LSU. So I think that he was just like, I'm gonna beat whoever it is they put in front of me.
Yeah.
And the guys that he had around him were, you got 2,000-yard receivers. You got a tight end that caught about for 800. You got a 1,000-yard rusher. I mean, he had the talent. I mean, you add that type of accuracy and will to it at that position, like, that's hard to beat.
Yeah. Plus with they offensive coordinator, Steve Ensminger,
and then coming from New Orleans, and then the guy that just got the offensive coordinator job at the Carolina Panthers, which is another story. He's 30 years old now.
Joe Brady, right?
Joe Brady.
Yeah.
Him coming from the Saints as well. It's like they brought that pro offensive style to LSU, and I mean, they completely changed the game.
Why do you think more colleges don't take that approach and bring in the more of the pro style offense than the shotgun stuff?
Right.
Well, I mean, largely in part because you don't have the talent level. They had, like I said, 2,000 yard receivers. They had a tight end that almost caught for 1,000. He had 800 yards. I mean, you had a back that ran for 1,000. So a lot of teams don't, especially when we talk about in the SEC, those numbers normally don't happen. And so when you have guys like that, you kind of have to play to the strengths of what you have. And what happens is a lot of times guys come in and they want to run. Somebody's going to go and try to run that offense next year. Same type of deal. They're going to watch the film. They got access to the film. I got access to all the film. And they're going to actually look at that and try to run that offense. But if you don't have the guys that can play that position at that level like that, it's not going to be successful. I mean, even LSU have guys come. Both of those receivers are coming back. The running backs coming back, but will they look the same without Joe Burrow? And probably not unless they get another guy. That I'm sure there's plenty of people that's sending in their transfer information now that are quarterbacks that are trying to get there to play in that system. So a lot of guys want to try to mimic that, but if you don't have the personnel to do it, then I think that's a big mistake to try to do it.
All right. Once again, it's the Platform Sports Talk Show. Great conversation once again with Butler by Note.
Yes, sir.
So, the night that you were drafted, I'm really big on like behind the scenes, giving that visual for those who wasn't there. Give us that feeling of being able to be drafted and talking, telling your moms or your girlfriend at the time or whatever. That thought of you being drafted.
First of all, what round were you drafted?
I was drafted in the 7th round, which at that time we only had, I don't know if they got more, it was only 7 rounds. And the draft was not a great experience for me because contrary to what y'all probably think, it was probably the worst. It was probably outranked.
Way to bring up a traumatizing.
Yeah, right. The second most,
because football alone, you got to sit there and wait for a couple days.
Right.
I mean, the second probably most stressful day of my life. And I mean, and so.
Treating her emotions.
That's what we do here.
Right. We want the raw emotion to come out.
It's a counseling show too, right?
Right. Oh yeah, we got somebody upstairs for you when we done with you, man.
So we talk sports. It's in the name.
Right.
Sports talk.
Right.
But it was, one of those situations again. Playing football at Ohio State, it's expected that most of the people that are leaving, like you going to the league, and that's again what we kind of prepare ourselves for, and we train for, we play for realistically, and so all of us, you go through. I got a chance to go to the combine, which was again a great experience. I was not a full-time starter as a running back. I shared time with Raymond Harris in the backfield. Again, I was a little bit before my time because I was in an I formation type of situation, 3 yards, a cloud depth. We was a little bit more versatile.
Jeff Fisher.
But I mean, we had guys like Terry Glenn, Joey Galloway, Chris Sanders. Who else? We had a bunch of receivers. I mean, and all those guys never saw the field at the same time. And when you had teams like Florida State that had the spread, they were kind of innovative in Steve Spurrier with Florida. But we were in the Big Ten where we eye football, ground and pound, play good defense. Right. And so because I wasn't a full-time starter, I just didn't get to run like that. But I started probably 6 games my sophomore year. And so I got a lot of run then. And so I still had enough film to be able to go get invited to the combine as a running back. So I ended up having the second fastest time in the combine, and did a really good job at the time. Bill Parcells was the head coach at the New England Patriots, and they had a very strong interest because what happens at the combine is they, you go through all these different interviews based on the teams that are interested. And so they interviewed me extensively the day before, and the running back coach at that time says, hey, what you think you're going to run the 40? I was like, man, I'm running like a 4.2. If I run anything less than 4.2, I'm going to be upset. He was like, really? You think? I'm like, yeah, but, I'm like, this dude.
You doing 4.2?
No, I ran like a 4.42, and I was PO. You know what I mean? And I was second fastest time, but it was like, man, I just, but it was
4.2. That's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
you know what I mean. But it was because my fastest was like a 4.35. You know what I mean? No, I actually ran 4.29 once, 4.2, but that was at our place. We had like a fast track. So, but I'm thinking I'm gonna do that there, but I didn't. And then, but I caught the ball well, ran a good time, and had really good drill. So the guy from New England was like, man, you did an excellent job. Bill really likes you. We thinking, we probably gonna get a chance at you. So I'm like, cool, and then my agent was telling me somewhere between 3rd, 5th round. Then I had a sheet, you don't have the Mel Kiper sheet. Yeah. They have everybody listed. So I kind of have everything in front of me, and based on what my agent is saying, based on what these guys from New England were saying, I'm like, okay, I should be good. So then you go to the draft day, and at that time, I think they had the first 2 rounds. Yeah, first 2 rounds the first day. And my family came in town against my wishes. I'm like, do not come in town. You know what I mean? There's already enough pressure.
Yeah. Now you got to try to play cool.
It's like they come in. I'm like, I'm not getting drafted the first day. Why are y'all even here the first day? Right. We just want to be here and support. I don't want y'all here.
Right. The whole weekend.
Right. You here for the extravaganza.
Round, baby.
But it just added more, just more pressure and stuff like. So the first day went past, and I'll never forget this. My mom and my uncle were in a hotel, and I went back, and some kind of way it came up, and I was saying I was in a mindset at that time I want to get drafted as high as I can because I want to make as much money as I can. And I remember my mom saying to me, "It's not about the money. It's not about how high you get drafted." And I'm like, "You don't understand, you know what I mean? I worked hard for this."
Right.
And she said, "It's just an honor to be drafted." And so I'm like, "You don't know what you're talking about, Mom." You know what I mean? And so the next day, all the guys that were seniors got together, and we went to this local sports bar, and we just kind of waited. All of our parents and stuff, we just kind of waited. They had all the screens, so we was watching it on the big screen TV. So again, I had my list of all the running backs that were getting drafted, and so as they started going off the board, I think I was like 10th or something like that. So I started scratching these guys off, and so I'm like, all right, I'm next. And then at the time, everybody has these cell phones, so teams are calling. So, the New York Jets are up, you'll get a phone call. So I got a call from, I think, the Jets, from 49ers, somebody else, and they'll call and say, hey, we're on the clock, we're thinking about picking you, or we getting ready to have the next pick. We thinking about picking you, you up, so we just want to tell you stay by the phone. Right, you know what I mean? So
and then don't pick you.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? So
oh, man. I didn't even know they did. I thought they called you after you got, or right before they picked you. I didn't know they called you just in case.
Yeah,
like,
so
that's crazy.
And that might be different now, but that was
just stay by the phone.
Yeah, and so what's happening is everybody's in here getting calls.
Right.
Everybody's in there getting calls.
Crazy.
And in the times that I got the call, I'm waiting. You're like, okay, and then they pick somebody else. So then you gotta wait until you get
red.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Just y'all
left Bishop on red, man. Come on, dog. Oh man. I don't want nobody else complain about being left on red. You ain't never been in the draft room,
right? And so you gotta wait till you get the next call, and that might be however many picks later.
Yeah.
The next pick, next call, San Fran, same thing. Then they pick some, and meanwhile I'm scratching off dudes that are beneath me on the list. You know what I mean? Like, how did everybody else get picked according to the list, but then I got skipped over, and then guys below me are getting picked.
That's how you know I couldn't play football.
Oh man,
man,
you talking about man? Just like you talking about upset, and so as it continued to go on, I just got to, because I was running track too, so I had to go to track practice, and then some of my other guys.
Wait a minute.
So, right, he gonna speed past that point. Hold on.
Wait,
during the draft, he had to go to track practice.
Mr. Pinocchio, where you going? I'll be right back.
I'll be right back, dog. I gotta go do the hurdles right quick.
I gotta go run these.
I'll be right back, man.
I got my cell phone on me.
Right.
It's a strong.
But I'm keeping my tie on. Just can't. Dang.
I'm practicing in 2/3 of my feet.
Right, this before Bluetooth, so you know what I'm saying. He had to run like this.
Yeah.
I might lose you.
I might lose you.
Dealing with some hurdles.
Right.
You understand? Life could be real. Nah, like I'm dealing with some
right.
real
It ain't no
life.
guarantee at this point, so I gotta do what I gotta do.
Like 2 feet off the ground hurdles.
Oh man.
I mean, but that's real. Like, I mean, I got frustrated, and I literally went to the bathroom. My uncle came in after me, man, and I was just bawling, crying. You know what I mean? It's just.
And you still ain't Willie beaming at that point?
No,
brother, he got a cast iron stomach over there, man.
I just, yes, and I was, and he was like, "Why are you upset?" And I'm like, "Because I felt like they won." Because my thing was, I felt like I didn't get the playing time I was supposed to get because I wasn't from Ohio. Some of the guys, everybody in the room, man, felt like they was the best running back, But I was in a running back room with 7 guys that went to the NFL. So you think about that, 7 running backs, 1 football, and we was running the I formation, and all 7 guys in there went to the NFL. So, I feel like because I didn't play, and I was comfortable with my role, but I felt at this particular point, I'm going to the league, I'm going to be acknowledged, my skills are going to be acknowledged by somebody in the league, and I felt like, man, like Ohio State won because I didn't get a chance to play as much.
Right. And
then they tried to get me to, Coach Cooper tried to get me to move to corner too. So
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, that was like a whole nother, thing. But so I like I said, I left home from talking to my uncle, got in the car, went to track practice, like, man, bump it, you know what I mean? And by the time I got to track practice, everybody's like running up to me, like, man, you got drafted. I'm just like what? And he was like, yeah, you got drafted. I was like, by who? And they was like,
so they didn't give you the phone call when you got drafted?
Nah, because at this point it's the 7th round. They just, they just
right,
picking the people they got on the board.
Right. They still watching the TV.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's how I found out when I actually got to the track. You know what I mean? Somebody else told me. And then they called me afterwards. The head coach, Wade Phillips, called me and was like,
Wade Phillips.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean? Called me and said, you're going to be a Bronco. And I was telling him, like, Coach, you're not going to be sorry. I promise you. But they had drafted me as a defensive back.
So that,
yeah, you know what I mean. So as soon as I got
football
there,
weird. Like I was gonna ask you that, were they gonna try to get you to change positions when you came out into the NFL? So.
Yeah, so I played professionally. I played cornerback like from the time I went to Denver to the time I retired.
Gotcha.
I ain't played no. Only time I played running back was when I was with Carolina, and they so I got put on waivers by Denver my second year. And Carolina picked me up.
How was that feeling? I'm sorry. How was that feeling?
Man, it was that's not a good feeling because basically like we don't need you.
He digging deep, ain't
You know
he?
what I mean? Like,
Damn.
and it's not a.
I mean,
That's real. No, people want to know.
Exactly. You know, it's
know.
it's the good TV, and then it's also inspirational for those who feel like
Right.
you know don't give up on your dream as well.
Yeah,
Right,
but
yeah.
it was that situation was kind of a gut wrenching experience as well because at the end of the day, it's still rejection.
Yeah.
And for me, and this is now I'm about to go real deep for real.
Oh,
You know, so
He just over here smiling.
so even
little chest of grip.
you know, maybe it's gonna have this is gonna have to help somebody.
Oh man.
But there's something that came up, you know, recently from meeting with high school, talking with a coach, and I'm just kind of like, man, the dude don't want me there, or you know, one of those situations like I'm not wanted, and so for a couple of days I was just like, man, you know what I mean, like it was bothering me, you know, and then I got messages like, nah, you know, like that's not the case, you know, but in my mind it's like I have this issue with that because of all the rejection that football created, especially when you talk about like from the moment really I left St. Louis, you know what I mean, and going to Ohio State, not being from Ohio. You know, you had all the other backs from Ohio, except for Eddie George, that was from Pennsylvania. And so, but you competing against the politics, you competing against the state.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the league, it's like a whole nother thing. And so now I get moved from running back, my love and passion, to now I'm playing cornerback, which I knew I could play because I played in high school. But even when I was at Ohio State, the guy, Coach Cooper was trying to get me to move to DB. You know, a couple of times I'll be walking past the DB room. They'd be like, "Hey, can you backpedal?" Like, "Nah, man, I'm running back." And we used to have NFL scouts that I practice all the time. And I remember the scout from the Atlanta Falcons was like, "Hey, I'm looking for," no, it was a guy from Green Bay. "Hey, I'm looking for a DB about your size to run about 4.3. You know anybody?" And I was like, "Nah, coach, I don't know nobody like that." Right. You know, and so Coach Cooper was really saying to all the NFL scouts, like, "Look, if I were you, I would move him to DB," because he tried to get me to move to DB, but I wasn't really feeling it. I didn't really feel like I could trust him to get back on the field. So yeah, I didn't do it. But from the moment I got drafted at Denver, they let me know they drafted me as a corner. And so I was down with it. You know, it's like, okay, I know I can play. I played in high school. I never played in college. I was willing to try in the spring, but he wanted me to quit the track team. And then I was like, nah. You know, my mom ain't raised no fool, man. Like, I'm from the Lou. Like, you ain't gonna give me the okie doke like that. Like, if you gonna want me to move, then let me just try it in the spring. You know, why I can come over there on non-contact days and, you know, do the drills and all that, and you can kind of get a good feel if I could do it. But at the time, Robert Smith had left the team. He was coming back, and I think he was trying to make room for him. There less competition and all those type of things. And he had Eddie George, and so it was kind of trying to. And where he really put it to me at the time was he would have meetings with his athletic director every offseason, and he would say, "Put your top 10 athletes on the board." And he said every year my name would be in the top 5. And so the athletic director was saying, if this dude is in the top 5, like, you have to find some kind of way to get him on the field, like full time.
Right.
And so that was his thing to me. Then he brought me into his office one day and showed me all the NFL salaries of the defensive backs in the NFL. I was like, "Look, you can make $1 million a year." And I'm like, "Yeah, coach, I hear you, but I don't trust you." You know what I mean? Like, I'm from St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I hear you, bro.
That to me,
honestly,
I need more.
figures.
Right.
Paperwork.
you know, so
Legal documents.
Yeah, run that by the money, man.
but when I got drafted, it was difficult, you know, just not being drafted the way I thought I would be. And it was disappointing, but looking back, hindsight, like, everything was ordered, man. It was all destined to be the way it was supposed to be. And then I went to Denver, and man, it was great. I mean, from day one, it was like, man, like, you're gonna be great. And I'm like, really? You know, Steve Atwater. You know, Steve Atwater was there. You know,
now he's going to the
homeboy.
Hall of Fame, possibly.
Yeah. You know, and it's like I remember doing training camp. He just pulled me aside one night. Was just like, homeboy, let me rap with you for a minute. And I'm like, what's up? You know, he's like, hey, as long as you keep your nose clean and do what you're supposed to do. He's like, dude, I've been around a lot of players, play corner. He's like, you're going to be like for real dude. And I'm just like, he's like, yeah. He's like, I'm telling you, based on what I've seen. And they had like some write-ups in Denver. And I still got those to this day. Like, you know, the defensive coordinator was saying that I was going to be like a Hall of Fame, all-pro cornerback. I reminded him of Mel Renfro from the Cowboys. And, I mean, so it was looking good. You know, I played some, again, like I said, I played in nickel. And I played some my rookie year. But what happened was Wade Phillips got fired, and then they brought in Mike Shanahan. And with the coaching changes in the NFL, like it's kind of like what they do with coaches. They bring in a lot of their guys too.
Right.
So, and because I was a rookie, I wasn't his draft pick. They gave him total control over personnel, everything. They pretty much wiped everybody clean. And so Bob Ferguson, who at the time was the director of player personnel, he brought me into his office during the training camp and said, like, I'm telling you now, I think they're trying to get rid of all my guys. And so don't be surprised. And so, you know, they put me on waivers, and that's when I ended up going to Carolina. And that's when I went to Carolina, and that was the only other time that I played running back because they wanted me as a running back. Because Shannon, when I talked to Shanahan in my exit interview, he was saying that, you know, there was already some teams that expressed some interest, and Carolina was one of them. So don't be surprised if you get a call from them.
Was that John Fox or was that somebody else?
That was Dom Capers.
Okay, yes, sir.
Dom Capers.
I couldn't recall who it was.
And so I was a running back for probably about 2 days, man. I was like, and this was the eye opener. Like, yeah, I made the right move. Like when you doing pass protection drills and you got to go up against like Lamar Lathan, this dude like 6'5", like 270, you know, and like coming off the edge with no help, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like 185, 90 pounds
trying to block
this dude, like. And I'm giving it everything I got, but it's like a bug splashed on the windshield. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and so I was like, you know, I was gonna be a third down back, but how the league ended up transitioning, every time a third down back would come in, they would just blitz to keep the back end.
Right.
So that's why they started going away from that, because you can just see the guy coming in and then you call a blitz, which means he can't get out.
Yeah. And
so they ended up doing away with it, but probably like 3 or 4 days. It might have been like a week, because Howard Griffith was my roommate on the road trips. I had an ugly number and everything, man. It was freaking terrible. Yeah, it was. They gave me 46. Right. Like I was
46.
Like,
right. Who 46? I don't think I ever seen nobody play 46, bro. Like in any sport, matter of fact.
Yeah, I'm like a little dude too. You know what I mean?
Goldschmidt.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You know, like 46. Yeah.
46.
Yeah. For the Redskins. But yeah, so I'm just like, man, this is terrible. And like I think after the first game,
right,
they had like a bunch of DBs get hurt, and so the coach called me in and was like, you know, listen, because I was actually going to him, asking him like, Coach, I know I'm playing running back, but can you? I was gonna ask him, can I still like work on DBs, like do the one-on-one drills, stuff like that? And he said, you know, actually I was gonna talk to you today, because we want you to move the corner. I was like, yes.
Putting you in the game, everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
And then he ain't got to say what we famous for saying, I'm down, dog. I'm down.
Right.
I'm down. The play is over. Why y'all still trying to jump on the pile?
It's over.
I'm down.
We have a comment from Suzanne Goodwin. She says, "What's up, Butler?
What's up, Goodwin? What's up? What's good?" She just got hired as the new Jag specialist at Vashon too. So, shout out to her for that. So that's big.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Her and Bunny, her sister, will be coming on the show.
Oh, y'all had Goodwin on here?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I gotta go watch that.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure that was interesting.
Oh yeah, it was.
That was a show. It was a show.
Man,
it was definitely a great show. Definitely a great show. Just like this is right now, man. You know, a lot of people appreciate you being able to open up and let everybody know about your experiences from high school to college to the NFL.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
It's been crazy. So let's get into the NFL now. Thoughts on you had a comment on, not comment, but you had your thoughts about the upset that happened with Tennessee Titans at the Ravens. What were your thoughts on that game and what happened?
First of all, I'm just disappointed in the Ravens. I mean, it's just no excuse, you know, for let a guy run for almost 200 yards on you like that. But again, you know, it's a couple things. This is kind of normally what happens when you have guys that have the playoffs locked up. They had that extra week to week 16, so nobody plays week 16. Then they have the week off. So now you got 2 weeks off, And no matter what anybody says, there's still like something with like momentum and actually just continuing to play, especially on a win streak like the Titans.
Yeah.
You know, and so when you rest those guys like that, you have a choice. And I understand, again, we talked about earlier about people not wanting their kids to play football for fear of injury. It's the same thing in the league. Like, so you resting guys because you don't want them to get hurt. Well, I mean, the chances of them getting hurt are probably slim. So you might as well let them play a little bit just because you're going to have a week off. So that was my first thing. And then I just think that they got out-coached a little bit because it seems to me that they never made any in-time game adjustments. They kept trying to go to the tight ends in their offense, and they had that covered because he comes from that old school of Belichick, so he had the blueprint of kind of how to shut them down. And then the fourth down calls, I just never understood. Like, I mean, if you're going to go for it, go for it. I'm with that.
Right.
But why would you put everybody in one box, you know what I mean? Line everybody up tight.
And expect Lamar to
expect him to get, you know, and this is 2 times.
Right.
You know what I mean? That they did the same thing.
With it,
Why not just spread them out and then run a read option? Then you're going to pick up the first down. So, to me, those are coaching errors that cost them the game. And it's, again, something that you would think at that level, not saying I know everything because I don't, but as some things just don't make sense, you know, and I know they got all these analytics in NFL now and all that, but something should tell you, like, in order for me to get 1 yard, if I've been getting 3 yards a pop on one play, then why should I do it on 4th and 1?
Exactly.
You know, instead of, you know, putting everybody jumping. So that was my thing. And then, you know, the Lamar Jackson, you know, it was like his fault. I mean, he didn't play the best, but I just don't think his coaches put him in a great position either.
And how many times do you see his teammates drop the ball?
I was about to say that too. Yeah.
You know, and it's just for Derrick Henry to run for that many yards,
across the board, just a bad effort.
I mean, just terrible, man. And so it was just disappointing for me to see that, and especially in this day and age, in this era where the black quarterback is already kind of, you know, scrutinized, you know, just ostracized in some kind of way. So it was kind of like people were waiting, like, oh, well, I told you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I told you he wasn't a quarterback. He's a receiver. It's like, man, that wasn't the case. There were so many different factors. And again, for me, I just didn't like the play calling from Greg Roman on the offensive side. And defensively, I mean, they stunk it up, but they didn't help themselves either on the offensive side.
Exactly.
The only number 6 seed left.
I'm gonna ask you. First of all, I agree with 100% of stuff you just said. So with that being said, like, how do you prepare a team coming off a bye week going into the playoffs? Like, how do you keep them engaged and ready for a playoff game? Because you see that's the result of it when you're not prepared.
That's the whole. My whole thing is that you shouldn't have to have all these extra talks because you're paying for the championship. That should be enough motivation.
Well, I'm pretty sure they was motivated, but I'm talking about actual preparation for it to where you don't make those mistakes like drop passes, misreads. You know, when you in the regular season, you know, it's totally different when you switch the play up at the last minute and you reacting and stuff like that. But the playoffs, you know, as you can attest to this, is just a whole different monster.
Yes.
And like, so how do you feel, you know, as a coach and a player, do you reach out to your team and get them prepared for a game like that? Like, what could they have done differently in the prior weeks leading up to the playoffs?
Well, you know, again, like you alluded to, there's a distinct difference from regular season play. When the playoffs, there's a different speed.
Right.
The intent, I mean, you can literally see it on the film. The speed changes, the intensity picks up, the focus changes.
Right.
And so, and there's within most football games, there's about 4 to 6 plays that determine the game, and it's even more so in games like that. And you never know when those plays are going to happen. And, you know, it can be a block punt, it can be a block kick, it can be a touchdown that's dropped, whatever it is. And so it's about 4 to 6 plays that change the outcome of the game. And so in order to prepare for that, I just think you have to amp your practice up. You know, even if you're off, you got the bye week, you almost have to have like a scrimmage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then and it can be controlled situational scrimmage where you put them in a 4th and 1. Look, okay, no, we haven't been practicing all week, but we about to go 3rd and short, 4th and short live. You know, we gonna see what we got best on best. Okay. And so and that way you at least keep yourself sharp and you have the guys in the mindset that we got to amp it up. We got to be ramped up because a lot of it is muscle memory too.
Right.
You know, if you've been laying and chilling, just like any of us, like you lay and chill and go on vacation for 2 weeks, it's gonna be hard to go back to work when that 2 weeks is up.
Had to go back today.
You know, and then you go, even when you go, you know what I mean, you like tired, you like lethargy, like, man, you looking at the clock, like, and then it's because your body gets used to a certain type of thing.
Right.
You know, so I just think that you have to do as much as you can to try to simulate what that game is like.
Right.
And that the best thing that you can do is like control scrimmages and situational scrimmages where you're put into those key situations where you know how to react, you know the play that's going to be called, and then you try to mimic as much or simulate as much as you can what it's going to be like. And those are the things, the third downs, red zones, those are situations that are going to determine any football game.
Right.
You know, and turnovers. And so you can simulate some of those things, you know what I mean? Quick change of possession. Like if you get a turnover, you got to come back, or you down by 10, you got 4 minutes to score, you know, so you can go through a series of those and try to put your team in that situation. So mentally and physically, they can be ready and prepared for it. And I'm sure they did some of that, but to me, they just didn't look prepared.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah,
Man,
they didn't look prepared.
My thoughts, real quick, is they had the mindset like they won the Super Bowl before they even played the game.
Yep.
It feel like home,
and Tennessee came in and provided a mind game. You know, they rattled Lamar Jackson. They got into his head, and he got out of character. And that was it. Now, last year he didn't have the big fanfare like he did this year because he was a rookie. But that leads to my question: is he showing signs of he can handle a specific spotlight in regards to the playoffs?
I don't know. He still is young, you know what I mean, and he's still growing. Even with everything he was getting this year, I think my principal at Sumner, Sean Nichols, had asked me about him, and I was like, man, you know, he's good, but you know what I'm saying, he still got some stuff to work. He's like, man, that boy bad. I'm like, he's good, no question about that. But there are some things that just as a quarterback, like he still has some developing to do. And you saw some of that come out when they played the Titans this past weekend. Just again staring down your receiver. Again, you know that if situation where they got to move the ball, they don't have that many timeouts, they trying to get out of bounds. The first thing you're gonna do is sit on the out routes.
Right.
You know, and then he looked right there and threw the out route to the guy. And so it's one of those things where he'll learn from that. He won't make that mistake again. But he won't go through it. He won't know how to be better until he actually went through it. And so I think that he can handle it, but it's a humbling experience for him too, because everybody was hyping him up, you know, and I'm sure he was still knowing that he still had to work on some things. But now the reality is you can put that film on, that big eye in the sky, and see like, man, I messed this one up. You know what I mean? I jacked this one off, and so I can get a little bit better. And I think now that the only thing that the other side of it is that people are going to scrutinize him a little bit more than probably what's expected, because Tannehill did complete 6-7 passes,
Right.
You know, so technically he did a little bit. He didn't have the turnovers, but I think they just ate some humble pie, and I think that'll be good for him, because at the end of the day he can only get better.
Yeah.
All right, other series you had Texans and the Chiefs. It was 21-0 in the first quarter. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Again.
And then this man here, he didn't give up hope at all.
I didn't. Never count out Patrick and his Mahomes.
Yeah.
Chiefs came through, did their thing. Texans was gone. It was like what, a 51 points in a row or something like that, unscored or whatever.
Well, they had to get a field goal in there somewhere.
It was just crazy. Incredible game.
7 consistent scores though, like
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, almost 51
3 times.
unanswered.
Man,
Almost.
yeah, that was crazy.
2 minutes and some change.
Man.
I'm like, all right.
Right.
Everybody was like, the Chiefs.
And the NFC Vikings beat the 49ers beat the Vikings. Should more people fear 49ers?
No.
I think people up on game on the 49ers.
Jig is up.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see them go against Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay. Even though I wasn't really impressed with what they did this past, because I was pulling for Seattle myself personally.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Russell Wilson, and I just like the way Pete Carroll runs the whole program there. But it's going to be tough because the 49ers have those 4 guys up front that can get after you.
Man.
And they don't have to blitz. They can drop 7 guys and play coverage. They can play zone. They can play man. And they're going to get to Aaron Rodgers. Now, again, this is probably like one of the best quarterbacks that we're witnessing like in our modern day history. Tom Brady gets all the accolades and things like that.
Drew Brees.
Yeah, well, man, that dude Drew Brees is.
What's wrong with it?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What's wrong with the
Nothing's wrong with
double
Drew.
record holder?
Nothing. I mean, the playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoff record.
Ooh.
That's the only. I mean, he's a great record. He's a great regular season.
His playoff record is not that good.
Nah,
You can't fight it. It's just true.
it is. Like,
I'm just shocked because normally he has a comeback for Drew Brees.
nah, you look at his
Ain't no
record.
comeback for that. He stopped me with that one.
Yeah, the playoff
I
record.
can't argue the playoff record. That's one thing I can't argue.
Right.
So he right about that one.
Yeah.
So
It's all about that. You know, the prime time, man. What are you doing in prime time?
because I want to blame Sean Payton more, but Drew Brees don't.
I mean,
have no
but
playoff
Sean
record.
Payton does get some blame because you know about the whole issue with the Rams last year.
Right.
Yeah.
But even do that,
What issue?
your play
A
calling.
bad call from them going to the Super Bowl.
Don't blame it on the bad call.
It was on the bad call because if it went the other way, they was going to the Super Bowl. That's
No,
facts.
sir. Y'all was dropping passes. And there was
But
some
it don't
calls
matter.
missed on the Saints defense.
But even with that being said, with that current score and that current play, if it goes the other way, what happens?
Y'all still wasn't going to score.
Yeah, but Drew Brees had a chance before overtime, right? Did he throw an interception or something? Drop the ball or something?
Oh, yeah, he
can't
threw that.
remember exactly.
He threw that beautiful interception.
Yeah, right
It was
before.
right before that.
No, it was right after. Back when the
After,
game,
yeah,
when the
after.
game made it into overtime.
Right, no, we
When
talking
y'all
about
still
before.
couldn't-
He had a chance.
No, we
to
talking
hit.
about regular. We talking about in regulation where they could
Y'all
have.
Yeah,
had
he had a chance.
in regulation.
He had the
Okay.
ball to win it with regulation. He threw a pick.
Yeah.
So that,
Two picks.
yeah, that's the Drew
Dose.
Brees that I know.
Whoa. First of all, you ain't gonna say he's known for that. I gave you the playoff for it. Now, you ain't gonna say he's known for throwing picks. You tripping.
I like in the playoffs. He known to mess it up, man.
But he don't throw picks though, man.
That's Drew Brees. Just don't, he just don't get it done in the playoffs. I like Drew Brees. I like
Right.
I like his game and all that. He is a Big Ten guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I like him, but it's hard for me to go with
I
him.
like him, but he ain't all that, huh?
No, it's. I mean, he's that dude in the regular season. It's kind of like Peyton Manning. You know what I mean? At some point, he'll put up.
But couldn't you say the same thing for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, kind of, sort
But
of.
we just gonna pick on Drew Brees.
Yeah, because Drew Brees is
See,
kind
it's
of.
personal. See,
Nah,
that's why I know the Saints gonna be good next year because he just created a rivalry
they
with
good.
Drew Brees.
They good every year. They good every year.
Yeah, every year.
Every year is like, man, this is the year, and it's like, man, like. So I mean, because there's a lot of Ohio State players that play for New Orleans for the
Right,
Saints.
yeah.
So I mean, I'm kind of like pulling, but it's just like, man, come on, dude.
And then also, he ain't getting any younger.
Yeah, he almost flirting with retirement right now. You know what I'm saying? So
He's
he
pondering.
he know he got calls from networks and some other
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he up there. Father Time is undefeated, man.
Man.
So let's get into the conference championship games. First game is, of course, both games are this Sunday. First game at 2:05 Central Standard Time on CBS. The Titans versus the Chiefs. Do the Titans have a chance at all to upset the Chiefs?
Hell no. Not an Arrowhead.
Nah, I don't think so.
Nope.
Yeah, they have a chance, but will they do it? No.
I don't think they can score enough.
Yeah.
So you don't think they are a team of destiny?
No, I think they got lucky with the
And this is where the look is.
with the Ravens, you know, just stinking it up, and they whole game plan failed to adjust. Andy Reid, they're not gonna make that mistake. I mean, and I think that the Titans kind of run first. They gonna put all their money in the basket to stop the run and force them to throw the ball. And if they can do it, they'll win. But I just don't I don't see it happening. But they got a shot. I mean, hey, that's why you play the game, right?
Yeah,
But,
I'm not
exactly.
saying it's going to happen, but I'm not going to put it past because of the way the Titans have been playing. What are your thoughts on Mike Vrabel, the player and coach?
you know, Mike Vrabel went to The Ohio State University, right?
There you go.
Yeah, so it's one of my teammates. I mean, I think he's a great coach. Obviously, he's doing a great job. And I heard something today. Somebody said that he, when they were not doing too well, he went into the locker room and said that, hey, I'm not a good coach. We're not a good football team.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he owned the fact that, you know, he wasn't doing a good job. as well. And then they turned it around. They made the quarterback switch, and they end up going on the run. So the thing about Vrabel is that he's always been a leader. He's always been a guy that works extremely hard. He's been a guy that's highly motivated. And even before he got the head coaching job at Tennessee, several of us kind of knew he would eventually get a head coaching job just because of the type of guy he is and the type of leader he is. So, yeah, we love the fact that he's doing a good job. But even though some of us tried to get some jobs with him, we didn't get,
that ain't happening.
Nah, not myself, but a couple other guys that's in the coaching industry. So
there has been a big issue, especially since these recent coaching hirings, about this whole Rooney Rule.
Oh man. Yeah.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. It is.
It's crazy.
So you think they should keep it or do away with it?
I mean, it's like a catch-22. You know what I mean?
You can't have it, but then not really
You can't
go
get rid
by.
of it either. Yeah.
You know, it's like, for instance, when the whole Cowboys thing, they knew they weren't getting Marvin Lewis, but they knew they had to just put a name out
Well,
there.
it just go back to what he was saying earlier. When a team call you on the phone, tell you stay by the phone, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's kind of that feel that you give them that. Like, you call this dude for an interview just because y'all have to.
Right.
But you know you're not going to pick him. So you just wasted everybody. Well, not your time because you're doing it just out of formality to keep your job. Like, you Marshawn Lynch at this point. I'm just doing it not to get fired.
Right.
But you bringing in somebody that you know.
Protect your chicken.
Yeah, you know.
Protect your mind, protect your health, protect your chicken. I don't know what protect your chicken means, but I guess you gotta protect your chicken.
You gotta protect your chicken, man. Keep your money in your pocket is basically what he's saying.
Right. Your 10-piece close.
Man.
Don't
Keep your
leave
ducks in a
one
row.
biscuit behind.
Exactly.
Make sure you get your two sides.
I forgot he said that till you just brought that up, man. That was a good little post game.
Thank you.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying, it just kind of like, when you go on a regular job, like say you go on a coach interview for the high schools, you know what I'm saying? Yep. Like they say, okay, well he coming from Sumner, so we don't want him out here at Kirkwood. He might be a bad influence. He from that culture, whatever. They just you know what I'm saying? So you go out there and they give you this dry interview.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, even though y'all had to interview me, you kind of made it worse for me because now I'm starting to second guess my talent because it's like you could tell by the energy on the interview.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You go like any job, and if you go in and everybody just kind of like dry, like they're not giving you eye contact, they're just going through the questions. They're like, oh yeah, we'll be in touch. You know, and then it's just kind of blow you off. Like, so it's like you said, it's like a catch-22. Like you don't want to totally get rid of it because then who's gonna get the opportunity next if y'all do away with it? But at the same time, when you go in, it's like it's a disrespect.
Yeah.
Because no other sport is gonna do that. Where you got, I forgot how many black players we got in the NFL, but it's a majority. Yep. But then we so low on the coaching part, and that's crazy. Because if you flip that in any other sport, it'll be everybody go crazy about that.
Yeah, and I know the players. And talking to one of the assistant coaches for one of the teams in the league, the collective bargaining agreement is coming up soon. This coming up summer,
right? For
the players in the NFL. So there are a lot of things that are going to be on the table, and from my understanding, it might get ugly. And so there might be a holdout, a lockout, because what has to happen and what the players understand at this point, it's going to be 10 years before they come back to the table. And with all the things, all the issues that are coming up, like they know that they have to take a stand on something or it's not going to get done.
Right.
And so, I mean, and that rule, man, it's kind of, again, it's a catch-22, and it's put in place kind of like, for that reason, like, okay, well, we hired a minority. And I've been on like an interview and where I already know the job is they already gave it to somebody else. I'm just being interviewed just for the formality.
Right.
And I mean, and nobody wants to, because again, you wasted my time. Like, it's just, it don't even make sense. And especially with the majority of the league, they have the power, the players, believe it or not, they do, and regardless of what the owners, they got the money, they got the check, but without the players, they don't have a league. And so I think some of that's going to, there are going to be some things that they're just going to have to stand on the table for. And because this is getting ridiculous, man. And when I saw the Joe Brady hire about, going to Carolina, and then I think about Eric Bieniemy, you know, and
Not
that
getting a
guy
chance,
not even getting a chance, you know, and then like how many other brothers that are out there that are position coaches that have been in the league for years that are deserving of interview, that position, so on and so forth, and they hire this guy that's been at LSU 1 year in the league, 2 years as you know, assistant to assistant, and it's just at the end of the day, it's no different than corporate America. In some regards, it's even worse.
It's correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Man. So, and then you had the head coach, the New York Giants getting Joe Judge. No one knows who he was.
Man.
Who is that
Like,
guy?
who? Where he come from?
And then they still trying to get Jason Garrett.
I was so finna be like, when you got Jason Garrett's name as a head coach potentially, you just go with the second person.
Right. But now he might be the coordinator.
Don't matter if it was Mr. Monopoly.
Yeah.
And
They should have just hired him just on GP, like you know
Right.
everything about that.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
like the ultimate
feel like
troll
he got
job
some
right
better
there.
right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Then the Browns just hired the coach from
Minnesota.
yeah. So and everybody like, why they do that? You know.
Well, he was second. He was the guy that they wanted to hire instead of Freddie Kitchens, from my understanding. And so, but that whole organization, man,
It's just terrible.
is
That's cool. I still got Browns in 5.
How'd that work out for you this year?
Okay, that's year 1.
Okay.
They got all the
That's
time.
year
That's another
two.
team too.
That's
on,
year
Y'all
two.
receiver tripping.
Yeah.
on paper, you know, just everybody was talking about them during the offseason.
Yeah, we
And I
was
think
too.
that's what happened with the Cowboys too. You know, like everybody was talking about that they were going to be champions. They're going to the Super Bowl. You know, and listening to the media, it was going to be the Cowboys and the Browns.
Right.
Yep.
You know, and you see what happened to both of them. You know, it's just and believe it or not, players listen to that stuff, man. And you start buying into your own hype. And then as soon as something goes wrong, you like, oh man, and then it just starts going downhill because you should have never been listening to that stuff anyway.
Yep.
Right.
And I'm tired of hearing that whole narrative like Dallas has the best, most talented team. So what?
Hey,
and
bro,
I don't even
tell
think
that
they got
to
the
the
most
fans,
talented
exactly.
team. They don't have the most talented team. Like they
Right.
got a lot of good players, really good players and good young players, but that does not mean they have the best team.
Yep.
You know, it's a lot that goes into having the best team. So it's, I mean, that whole thing. I mean, that guy. I think the guy that they have will he'll come in and straighten out because he's gonna have their immediate attention because he's won the championship and he's been successful and he's beaten them several times.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. This has been an incredible show. We have once again extended time, but by no tell you already was prepared to spend a little more time with us.
Yeah.
So this has been a great show.
His wife know where he at.
Yeah, that's
Right,
right.
right.
That's right.
So,
I ain't got no text or no call, so we good.
Yeah, she see. All you got to do is check on YouTube,
The
man.
last show, she like, hey,
Smooth
it's,
been
it's,
pushing.
it's time to go home.
Right.
Where you at? Come on now.
Smooth been
Yeah.
pushing the damn envelope all day. Hey, we gonna bring up these traumatic moments from your past.
Yeah,
right.
Keep you out of little wait until your wife says,
So,
Dang.
so rapid fire, because we do have some topics to discuss. So, trying to go as quick as we can. Luke Kuechly, former Carolina Panther, retired.
Oh, man.
Antonio Gates retired as well. Thoughts on those two?
Man, that's just sad, man. Especially with Luke is just, you know, a testament to him and guys, the health of guys and things like that. But it's sad to see him go, and that hurts the league to me because a lot of guys are going to kind of like contemplate that, like, man, my health, and especially when it gets to the point you start talking about concussions and the longevity of the rest of your life, man. Like, that's tough, but it's real.
How much of a game changer was that movie with Will Smith?
I was,
Oh man, that was
Concussion
huge.
was
You know what I
crazy,
mean?
man.
Because just the awareness.
yeah.
You know, a lot of people didn't aware. I mean, I've suffered through a few concussions. You know, and so it's real. You know what I mean? It's a real deal where you start noticing things and you start forgetting some things. Like every day, like I literally go back in the house like for something every day. And I lock the door. Like I'll lock the door and be like, man, did I lock the door? You know, so but it's when you talk to other guys, like, man, it's serious. And when you start talking about mental illness and things like that, man, it's serious. So I mean, I hate to see him go, and you know, it's gonna kind of hurt the league a little bit because other guys gonna start looking at that too. But at the end of the day, I
They
applaud him for.
already have. I
Yeah.
mean, look at Calvin Johnson retired early.
Yeah.
Someone else just retired last year. Oh God, someone else who was like under 30 years old. I couldn't recall.
Vontae, I don't know.
The Lord, nah, he retired like doing.
He was out at halftime.
Right. But
He was like, "Hey, Joe."
there's been a recent influx of guys.
Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck, that's what it was.
Andrew Luck,
yeah.
he been on.
I was like, why I can't think of nobody's name right now? But it's Andrew Luck.
So
yeah.
it's been some young cats that's been leaving because it's like, Cam Chancellor.
Yeah, he sure did too, yo.
He retired already.
Legion of Boom.
So do you see more of this happening more and more?
Yeah, I think it is because again, the more people become aware of the things that the health concerns, and then become more aware of particularly like the mental illnesses that can occur from several concussions and things like that, and then the well-being of life, man. You don't want to be walking around like almost a paraplegic, And I just remember my time in Denver and watching two people, John Elway, walk like, man, like, dude, like he just looked broke down, And then I remember Lionel Washington was a cornerback that had been playing for the Oakland Raiders, and he had come to Denver Broncos my second year, and I just remember seeing him like icing his knees, like, and I was just laughing, like, man, like you icing your knees like OG. So he was an OG at the time,
right?
And he was just like, yeah, young buck, you know what I'm saying? You just keep on playing, you'll realize it.
You gonna get there,
right?
And so now, you know what I mean, being able to just like get up sometimes, having knee issues and things like that, man, it's real. So I think people realize there's more to life than just money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so my well-being, like my family's well-being, like, and even for myself, like suffering this past year through like some anxiety and some panic attacks, and things like that stuff is real. Like you think that, you having a heart attack, but it's like your body is just doing its own thing. That's all triggered from your brain.
Yeah.
And so, but when that stuff starts to affect your livelihood and affect your life, you know what I mean? It's like, man, it's more to it than just, getting that check.
Yeah. So who will go to the Super Bowl?
Man, let's see. I like the 49ers. I'm going to say the 49ers and the Chiefs.
Packers, Chiefs.
Ooh. I want to say Packers. I think Nick Bosa got something to say about that.
Yeah, that defense is incredible.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers can survive it, man.
Nah.
So
It's
I'm
cool.
going to say Chiefs. And,
Look, I'm going to say this. If Aaron Rodgers down by a touchdown with a minute left,
that's true. That's true. That's true.
I can see Sherman facing off with Devontae Adams all game.
Yep. If he don't fake hurt.
And if not the playoffs, if Devontae Adams,
right.
If that happens and Devontae isn't a factor, then San Fran got that game.
Yeah.
Because they need Devontae to show up and do his thing.
True.
Big time.
Yeah.
They got the tight end too, though.
Yeah, Greg Kittle?
Yeah.
George Kittle.
Well, for Green Bay, you mean Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham. Yeah.
And surprisingly, he played good last. Like that's who Jimmy Graham was. I wanted him to be with the Saints.
Yeah.
Like I'm like this we could, but he had like a lot of like if you know his background, he got a lot of stuff going on with him too mentally. So that got a lot to do with it too.
Yeah.
But he played a real good game last game.
Bunny has Chiefs versus the Packers.
Plus, Jimmy Graham really couldn't exercise his full potential with Drew Brees as his quarterback, right?
Man, you had to get that one.
Nah.
None of your teams in the playoffs.
None of yours are either.
Mines weren't expected to. What's your excuse?
They just not there. They just not there.
They just not there.
They just there. They
They
chilling
might
with
not
y'all.
get back.
We out of here. He
I
out of here.
guarantee if he came back after heavy consideration, I am coming back.
We on the fence with his brother by how he act
Balling, but he been playing better.
all year.
Better than he was in New Orleans.
He played one good game. I sure do.
He still
Shout out
be
to
there,
Jared Cook. We good. He gonna be all right.
Jared Cook
Now-
is Jeff Fisher's sloppy seconds.
No, Jeff Fisher didn't use him right, as you clearly can see.
Didn't he have him in Tennessee?
He had him in the Rams. Yeah. And you wouldn't even know he was out there.
I still don't know he out there.
What's the next segment? I'm not dealing with this guy.
All right. So speaking
I didn't
of
know he was playing until he said Jared Cook.
Yeah.
speaking of balling, NBA talk. You follow the NBA?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your thoughts so far on this season?
Man, I think it's a good season. It's good for the league.
is.
Just all the up and down and just the movement of free agency. I'm a Celtics fan though. I mean, that's my team. So
Again.
we all good.
The
This
rivalry.
guy just picked all the
Oh,
bad.
you a Lakers fan then?
Yes,
I
sir.
don't know what he is. He was a Clippers fan in the beginning.
That lasted for like 2 weeks.
But
It
the
lasted into the
the
season.
Lakers not even
true.
the best in their conference though.
Yes,
I
they
mean,
are.
Yes, they are.
On paper,
On paper, yeah.
on paper,
But
but
yeah. The Clippers got their number.
the Clippers,
And that's what I've been saying since before that. I feel that's just facts though.
Yeah.
The Clippers got a better team.
The Clippers do have their number. They do not have Kawhi's number when they need him for games. Though.
Well, the problem is
They
they know how to
calling
offset their stars, and Lakers don't know how to counteract that because
Kawhi,
the Clippers got 3 people they can throw at LeBron, and they got 2 or 3 people they can throw at Anthony Davis. And that's the problem that the Lakers face because they don't have nobody that can counteract on the other end. Because LeBron does not play well against Kawhi, as we already seen.
He don't even face him.
Yeah, and then you got the fact that you can offset him with Paul George, another all-league defender, and then Patrick Beverly gonna dig in him a little bit and wear him down. You know what I'm saying? So you got them aspects, and then you got the guys. I can't forget. I forgot my boy name already top of my head, but the power forward for the Clippers, Michael Green.
Yeah.
You got him on Anthony Davis, and then you got Harold coming in that's really going to give it to him. And then you put like a Zubac or somebody else like that.
Doing this thing.
You know what I'm saying? They got a lot of long defenders. Even my boy from Portland that went over there, Mo Harkless. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of guys you can throw at them, man. So
and they dogs too.
Dog, the whole team. The whole team.
The Lakers ain't ready for that
Man,
yet.
it's like a PHL team for real.
Right, you know what I mean? They showtime. They got all the glam.
So
And
now
the Clippers like, how many fouls I got? 6. I'm going to give them 4 in the first
exactly,
quarter.
no problem.
Because I got somebody that can slide right in this spot as soon as I wear them down.
So looking at the Western Conference, we have the Lakers #1 spot.
9.
Number 2.
Wait, how that happened?
Yes.
Oh, they on like a 10-game winning streak.
Ever since
That's
they
right.
acquired Jordan Clarkson, the Utah
No,
Jazz.
ever since Mike Conley got hurt.
That too. But ever since they have acquired Jordan Clarkson, they have not lost a game.
But they was on
So
like a
10-game
5-game winning streak before he got there, though.
Yeah, they gonna be a tough
Cool,
out.
well, they done won 10 more.
That's crazy, man.
They
Utah a
tough.
good team, though, man.
They're
So-
they're 5 games behind. They're right behind them, the Nuggets.
I ain't even trip on
What are
that.
your thoughts right now? Just seeing a little bit of Michael Porter Jr. Now that he's finally getting that shine.
What's funny is you think I watched the Denver Nuggets.
you watch sports and
The highlight.
Bleacher Report.
Exactly.
Denver Nuggets.
So, like I said, I didn't say the whole game, but I said just from seeing what you have seen, your thoughts now on seeing
I ain't
see the
seen
Michael Porter Jr.
Nothing.
He ain't seen nothing.
I ain't seen nothing because he is a member of who? The Denver Nuggets. I ain't watched the Nuggets for real since Melo was on the team.
Oh my
Man,
God!
wow.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Because
So
what they done did?
Clippers are 5.5. Well, they're tied with the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Houston Rockets. What's going on with that team?
Same.
They let John Morant go crazy on them last night.
That is what team is gonna show up, man.
Yeah, that's
They don't have identity, man. It's
It's
just
bad coaching
yeah, that whole
whole bunch
isolation
of-
thing just ain't gonna work.
It's not going to win a championship.
at all.
Yeah.
I think we can just throw championship out the window. This is D'Antoni's last year, and he clearly don't give a
Hopefully, man, because he ain't got
No,
no
you don't remember
success in
last
the
year?
league.
He was like, "No, I'm done. I ain't."
I don't remember that because
he
I
did
should have
say
remembered
that.
that.
Yeah,
He needed to be
wasn't
gone.
renewing his contract with the Rockets. After
Yeah.
Cool, because he needed to be gone.
And then 6th spot, the Mavericks. Thoughts on Luka Doncic? Best player, best point guard in the game right now.
Best point guard in the game?
Even though I know
It's
how,
arguably,
even though
yeah.
I know how you feel about the point guard role and him playing point, but
Well, LeBron, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even with Trae Young, he on a bad team. You know what I'm saying? Give him his nod. And, Westbrook having a bad year, right now. But, as far as right now this season, yeah, I'll still give it to him.
this next team, I am so impressed
Ja
with.
Morant.
This next team,
The next team point guard got something to say about
I
it.
am so impressed with this team. I thought that they would be like one of the worst teams in the league, and they're not. They are right there in the playoff race. That's the OKC Thunder. Chris Paul and them doing this thing. They have this 3-guard lineup now.
Calm all that down. Calm all that down.
Why?
Chris probably getting injured tomorrow.
Dang.
Damn, why
Chris
would you
gonna
put
get
that on?
injured
Why would you
waking
do it?
up.
Throwing
He be
shade to him.
Time to
But if he don't,
it
is he an MVP candidate?
Yes. Yes.
Consideration, yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what he's doing with that team is special.
Yes.
No.
Why not?
Because nobody care about that. Harden out here dropping 40. LeBron out here doing Watch King stuff.
But
Giannis
they all
being
got a
Giannis.
superstar
Kawhi
on their team.
being
They all got
Kawhi.
superstars on their
Exactly.
team,
What's his
though.
face being what's
Chris
his
Paul, who is
face?
say Gilgeous Alexander his second best player.
Right.
He is the star. That's the best up part.
But why is he so good all of a sudden?
Because he playing like he got something to
he
prove.
playing with
But
Chris
he's
Paul.
forgetting that his body is Chris Paul.
True.
His mind might be killer, but your body is.
But we talking about as of this moment, should he be considered MVP candidate?
No.
I disagree, man. The dude been balling, man.
Yeah.
He been hooping, man.
So would they be there without Chris Paul?
Nope.
That's the
whole main of MVP.
Argument, right?
That ain't
Most valuable player, right?
Westbrook won MVP with them in the 7th seed.
Because he averaged the triple-double the whole season.
It was a bad triple-double, too.
Still a triple-double.
Yeah, but you talking about like 7 turnovers.
Chris Paul averaged hospital parking tickets.
With a low turnover rate. That's what's so underrated with point guards, man. It's just like with quarterbacks. You can't turn the
ball over if you're not playing.
Chris Paul playing? He playing all game. What you talking about?
No, when I was talking about earlier, you were like, what a low turnover rate. I was talking about the same season. I was you can't turn the ball over if you ain't playing.
We ain't talking about that season. You just feel like arguing right now.
All right.
You just said Russell Westbrook won the MVP. Triple-double. You was like a bad one, but he still got it.
True.
And then what'd you say? But he had a low turnover rate. Were you talking about that season or this season?
I didn't even see this. In the 8th seed, Memphis Grizzlies, they have a 6-game winning streak.
Which is why Ja Morant is top. Whatever he does.
Rookie of the year.
Hey, and he doesn't even play like a rookie.
Nah, he got a lot of confidence.
That's
man.
the great thing about this game.
He got a chip on his shoulder.
He's not gonna be rookie of the year. You must not have heard the news.
He ain't got no time. He ain't got no time.
Nah, he ain't gonna.
He ain't got enough time. It's too much. He ain't got enough games, and he got to get acclimated to the league still.
Got to have more body of work to get.
I mean, I just don't think. I don't know. I ain't a voter, but I just don't think in this short season that he's gonna play.
They brought him back. He was like, oh, who went into the
right? He about to basically play a lockout season.
No, because look, they brought him back because if you see here, New Orleans is only 4 games out from the last playoff spot.
Right,
he got plenty of time.
No, he got time. But I'm saying, like, even if he ball out and you look at the body of work Ja Morant already put in, well, do you still give Zion the MVP?
No.
If he head and shoulders better than him going forward, starting now.
You mean the rookie of the year?
The rookie of the year.
Yeah. No chance.
That's what I mean. That's what I said. He missed too many games.
Yeah. I got you. And then in the East, in the East. First spot is the Bucks. Yep. Second spot, the Heat. Is it time? People would always say after LeBron left Miami, let's see if Spoelstra is really a coach. Can we finally start saying he is really that deal?
Yep.
What you gonna say? Look at what they're doing.
They oh my God, they just got Jimmy Butler. That's why Jimmy Butler balling out.
He still got to coach the team,
bruh. Okay.
So Jimmy Butler is a franchise person that just go to your team and just change the whole dynamic of the team.
That's
Jimmy
what
Butler,
he's doing right now.
It ain't Jimmy Butler. If you watch him play, Kendrick Nunn. This was before Jimmy Butler even started playing. They was already coming out the game. Yeah, Bam about to be an all-star.
Right.
Tyler Hero.
See, he ain't watching.
He ain't hip. Yeah.
He ain't watching.
He's not a Spoelstra fan. He don't like.
Exactly.
He a Bulls fan.
It's personal to him.
He a Bulls fan.
Why you don't like Eric Spoelstra?
Ball ain't got nothing to do with it.
That's the topic.
Right. I asked you a question.
That's
should he get more respect now that he doesn't have LeBron and D-Wade and he got this team in the second spot in the playoffs?
Well, first of all, I don't think D-Wade is a good argument anymore, seeing as the downfall of his time when he returned back to Miami. That was just age. Like the team wasn't plus that last season they wasn't really focused on. Well, they were focused, but they weren't focused.
On his farewell tour, yeah.
They were trying to send D-Wade. All right, Miami got a new goal. It's the same goal, but it's like new, kind of, because they haven't been there in a minute. We'll see what happens. I still don't see Miami holding this because Jimmy gonna Jimmy, and then it's gonna affect the whole team.
But defensively is where they making they edge. In.
Right.
Jimmy gonna Jimmy is gonna affect the whole team.
But that's the Spoelstra effect as well because he always been a defensive minded coach.
Right.
Jimmy gonna Jimmy.
True.
It's gonna mess up the whole team.
I just don't think they can get past Boston or Milwaukee, no way. But they're going to be up there.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah. Boston got the 3rd spot. The Raptors right there. 4th spot, 9 games behind. Pacers, 9.5. 6th spot, the 76ers. Does that team need to get dismantled? And something got to change between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid?
Yep.
A lot of people ain't saying a lot of good things about Ben Simmons.
They need a better floor leader, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm it might be coaching too though.
Oh yeah, Brett Brown.
Yeah, so and I think he was part of the Spurs at one point.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to see how he can bring that aspect to that team, and they play the way they play because they just out there just like open gym half the time.
Wow.
So,
The Orlando Magic are in the 7th spot, 16 games behind. Brooklyn Nets just got Kyrie back. They are 17 games behind in the last spot. And then right behind them,
got a little light.
It's cool. It's cool. We gonna overtake
4 games out.
We gonna overtake the Nets. Kyrie back. Oh, that's hard.
Should Zach
Right.
LaVine be an all-star?
Yeah,
Yes, of course.
Yep.
He need to get back.
especially
to the
they playing in
contest,
Chicago this
hopefully.
year. Yeah, and they in Chicago this year in the All-Star game.
They need to put him back in the dunk contest.
Yeah, but he had some knee injuries since then, and that's
Dwight Howard done had knee injuries.
Dwight Howard ain't got nothing to play for.
He in it though.
He does
Yeah,
now.
he in it. Yeah, he in it. But I
So-
mean, if he sit out for 20 games because his knee hurt after the dunk contest, they gonna be all right. The Bulls not gonna be all right if Zach LaVine start limping around. At
We
that
gonna
dunk
be
contest.
good. Our rookies are actually hauling ass. Kobe White and I just forgot his name. I know his first name is Daniel. I just forgot his last name. Damn.
Daniel.
No, they second rookie, not the point guard, but the tall one. I forgot his name.
I ain't watched no Bulls games.
Let's find out real quick. We got the power of the
The internet.
internet. Here we go, right here. Here we go, Stan. You can look on the screen. Daniel Gafford.
There it is.
All right. I don't know
That
what it
boy
is.
is
I sure don't know who
I don't know
it
what
is.
it is.
He
6'10".
he's got like he's tied. Damn, who had the record for the most blocks within their first set of games? Because he's got that record too.
Okay.
And then where is he? Kobe White. Scroll down.
Yeah, Kobe White been balling.
Kobe White, Cole.
I forgot y'all had Thaddeus Young.
He gonna
No. What's his name down there? Right here.
Satoransky?
Yes, I can't never say his name. He been hooping too, man.
I'm telling you, we looking good.
Tomas Satoransky.
Yeah, he was from Washington.
I
From the
need
Wizards.
Kobe White to do. I need him to pick up where Derrick Rose left off.
Who
Just
you asking about?
protect your knee. Just protect your
man, you
knee
asking
joints.
The youngest MVP?
No, I'm talking about like if
Oh,
his knee,
like recent Derrick Rose.
Protect your joints.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Protect your joints at all times.
That's hard to say, man. You can't escape knee injuries in any sport. That's something that's just you only got so many jumps in your legs, and you don't never know when it's coming. Unfortunately, man, that's one of the things. That's why I suffered from is knee injuries, man. And my first knee surgery ended me, man. Like once they open you up, you're not the
Hold on, go
same guy
back to
no
the
more.
steals. Is Chris Dunn still up there?
Yeah, Chris Dunn in there.
Yep. Oh, he's supposed to be. What in the world?
No, he's second. Yeah, right behind Ben
that's
Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Total 3-pointers made. Harden 194. Good lord.
He done took 972 of them.
Yeah, but
Active
still.
triple-double leaders. Russell Westbrook 144. The next person is 90 by LeBron James. Jesus Christ.
And then the next person is James Harden.
Jesus.
44.
Okay, season leaders. Harden 37.8 points a game. Giannis 30.0. Trey Young 29.1. Luka Doncic 28.9.
Bradley Beal.
St. Louis on. It's
That's
possible.
bestest baby right
We
there.
may have, I think we said this
Two.
before, we may have 2 St. Louis guys on the All-Star
All-Stars.
team with Bradley Beal and Jason Tatum.
Yep.
Yep.
Tatum playing incredible.
Yeah, hope so, man. He just had a career high the other day.
What is it like? How much more can you say about LeBron in his 15th, 16th year, whatever, and
Watch
lead the
King.
league
17.
in assists?
He 3 away from a dub, and he don't look like he's slowing down, but his that groin still getting to him though.
They said that I think he's like around 150 points from passing Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Oh,
He gonna do that. He gonna do
I
that.
thought that was gonna happen this
We
year.
had a discussion about that at work earlier, man. A lot of guys was like, LeBron pretty much play for stats. He playing for the assist record right now. And sometimes I see it in the fourth quarter, like, why are you giving the ball up so much? Just get the win. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I never try to hate on LeBron. I just point out facts that I see and stuff like that. A lot of people take it as hate because they say, oh, well, you ain't say that. I'm like, nah, I'm an equal opportunity hater with even my own favorite players. So with this groin injury that he got, I feel like it's kind of inconsistent as a Lakers fan. We trying to see how to play around it. So I'm like, man, if it's actually bothering you, we got to reduce his minutes. Because I saw one play a couple games ago where he was just fine. and somebody ripped him in the open court, and now all of a sudden he kind of started hitting at the groin.
Right.
But then he got a score like right after that, and all of a sudden he's like, all right, I'm good, y'all.
Hey, I'll be taking your advice. Every time he get hurt,
He look up at that screen first. He makes sure he on TV first. Every time he get an injury, LeBron do and he did it that game. He tried to do a crossover, dude ripped him, and he looked up and he started flexing. They was like, "Oh, it looks like groin injury." He played right into it, and then they gave him the ball, and he shot a three and it went in, and he got back on defense smooth and got down. I'm like, so you ain't hurt no more. So
that dude,
you got to do what you got to do.
Say it. What's up, Bishop? What you think?
I mean, I'm LeBron. I haven't always been a LeBron
Ohio.
fan because obviously I'm a Celtic fan. I mean, at some
gotcha.
point I didn't like the dude, but I've just watched him grow.
Yeah,
you know, and I watched him take a lot of criticism and kind of fight through that. And when I saw him go back to Cleveland and put that team on his back, I was like, okay, gotta put some respect, next to his name for sure. So
what you think about KG comments about they broke LeBron when he was in Boston and they sent him running out of Cleveland?
Yeah, I mean, probably so. No, I agree.
You
with
agree
that.
with it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Because that was them. I mean, the KG and them guys, man. The truth, like they were a different breed. There's no way that he knew he was gonna be able to beat those guys without some help.
Right.
You know that because they was the first big three. You know, so he had to go get. You know, we always talk about LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. You know, but the first big three was in Boston.
First big three was in Chicago.
Well, yeah, technically, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's
then the Houston Rockets
undefeated.
Man,
Barkley, Olajuwon, Drake.
they had a big four.
And Ben and Pippen for
They had Pippen too. They had the big four.
Yeah,
they had 4 Hall of Famers starting. And Matt
Pippen got around a little bit. Pippen got around a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
Right. Dude went to
Pippen ain't know what to do.
Portland. He went to Portland and played with Damon Stoudemire and Rasheed
Man, Scottie
Wallace.
Pippen was 40 years old with braids. He was losing his mind out there, man.
Having identity crisis.
Yeah, he was big time, man.
Then Pippen wanted to talk about LeBron. Bruh,
Man,
you did it first.
Right.
exactly.
Oh man. All right. And then what's your thoughts on Kevin Durant?
What about Durant? Just him leaving Golden State?
Is he right there or right below LeBron James?
No, first of all, he's not on LeBron's level. He's just not.
Give me some.
He not. I mean, and
Smart man.
Skill wise, you know, he one of the best in the league, if not the best skill wise and all that. I mean, you 7 foot tall, you got that type of reach, man. You can shoot like that and handle. I mean, it's just you unstoppable. And then to see what he did at Golden State, like, man, that dude is incredible.
He went head up against LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't have respect if you go to Golden State. That's just my thing. Like, you can't go and join.
Perkins.
You can't.
Right. Oh, man.
But Kendrick Perkins is like,
Kendrick Perkins.
He tore him up on Twitter.
they
had it on Twitter, yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to go check
You
that
got to
out.
check that. They went at it.
Wow.
Like, it got real
He was
bad.
like, bruh.
Yeah, I mean, you just.
It was not safe for work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's to go and join a great team already and then make them a super team. Yeah.
Right.
It's just that I as a competitor, I just have no respect for that.
Do you think his move was worse than Ray Allen going to the Heat after the Heat beat the Celtics?
Dang.
Or is it just like neck and neck?
It's worse because I mean, Golden State is like one of the greatest teams like in history, in modern day history.
They had the best record the year before.
Yeah, you know, so to go
In
join
all of history.
Yeah.
right, you know, and to go and join a team like that with
A team that beat you.
right.
In which you would have stepped up that series, y'all would have won.
Right.
No respect. Just from my standpoint, I mean, I respect his game.
Hold up.
I don't respect.
But when I say all that stuff, I'm being emotional. Y'all.
Because you hate KG no matter what.
Exactly.
You gonna say you gonna hate him. You gonna hate him regardless.
No, it didn't start until he did that move. After that, I was like, I ain't got no respect for you, bro.
Right. And we heard your opinion numerous amount of times after that. We tired of talking to you about him. We talking to somebody else about him.
Oh, but then y'all can say, you know.
Yeah, we want somebody to back you up.
Y'all better
It's actually helping your case.
Right, he got your back.
Credits.
You getting your credit.
Right.
We letting somebody else
This
tap
man
into what
right
you
here
been
got your
saying.
credits right now.
Why you so emotional that we ain't seen you in a while? We know, man. I get it, man.
We miss you,
We
man.
miss you too, dog.
Y'all saying the same thing I was saying. This
This our little brother, man. This is how it goes.
Right.
I feel like
But it
Michelle
is.
Obama said Melania Trump. They just stole my words.
First of all, I'm never that.
Never.
Never
Not
that.
even close.
Never that.
Never be on my level.
Right.
Should never be on my level.
Ever.
Once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show, man. It's been incredible. Shouts out to everyone watching
And
the show.
my food is in the refrigerator. Another long show. Well, I'm putting everything up.
I'm pretty sure my plate got 8. So.
I'll be microwaving it tonight.
So I'm not sure if you. No, you was here for Congrats, you were right. I believe when we had an spoke session. So you know what it is. If you know someone that said something in the past that came true, you go ahead and tell that person, congrats, you were right. So I'll go ahead and say mine. Stan, you was talking about the Chiefs. You was like they going all the way. Then I'm at church. I'm seeing the game. I'm like, wait a minute, they down 21-0.
You sure about that?
What's going on? Me and Sadal be like, you sure about that, brother?
But you know what's solidified? Because what was my next post? And I'm not deleting.
Right,
man.
So with that being said, Stan, congrats, you were right in
One
regards
down,
to
two to
the
go.
Chiefs and making moves and winning that game, man.
Yeah.
You got
One
anything?
down.
Yeah, I'm gonna just shout out his Facebook name. I ain't gonna say his real name, but some of the alumni, Voltron Gotti. He been a Titans fan from the jump. And he was like, I'm telling you, man, they gonna do it, man. He just started following the page last week. So he been following us, yeah. So he might be tuning in. So shout out to D. But he said the Titans was something to work with. He's like, they gonna shock the world. So far, they proving them right. So I'm gonna say congrats, you was right on that, man.
I made a joke after they beat the Patriots. And I was like, bro, they finna win everything. And then they beat the Ravens. I was like, let me find out I'm right. I should have put it on. I should have put it on social media. So
Right.
forever. Instead, I said it to somebody somewhere, and I can't even remember.
And I believe if the Titans do beat the Chiefs, they'd be like the first team to be all division leaders.
At a number 6.
Ain't gonna happen.
Do you have anything, Butler?
My boy Hewlett King, one of the assistant coaches with me at Kirkwood. Well, actually, all the assistant coaches, they picked Clemson. They picked LSU. I said Clemson was going to win. So, shout out to my boy Hewlett and the rest of the staff. You guys are right. I hate to say that, but
it sucks when you gotta miss
We
somebody
know.
else,
eat it,
man.
right?
We know. All right, is this your leader? Once again, pairing off two sports people, persons people, and we feel like, hey, if you're down the trenches, who you feel would be the better leader to get you out of that hole? Do you have anything that anybody want to bring up?
I got one, man. Bumped a couple of my partners from Chicago, man. So I'm gonna just say, point guards for Chicago. Is this your leader in their prime? If, would it be Isaiah Thomas or Derrick Rose?
Derrick Rose. Easy.
It ain't easy.
If he ain't mess his knee up in that round of the playoffs, Bulls still would have been undefeated in the finals. Still.
Nah, they couldn't never get past the Heat, even when he was healthy.
He didn't win the MVP that year.
Even when he won the
Derrick Rose
MVP,
was
they never
that
got
year.
past the Heat.
And then his own knee took him out. They never got past. Who ended the win streak? Riddle me that. What was that, like
win streak?
27-something games?
No, they beat him in a regular season. Yeah, they won 27 games, and then the Bulls beat with Nate Robinson and play. Yeah, but I'm talking about the playoffs.
Man, if we would have kept Nate, if D Rose would have never got hurt,
That's a lot of
everything would
L's.
have been
If
good.
Boozer wouldn't have got that fake hairline, what else you gonna say?
First of all, I don't know what Boozer was doing. I don't know if that was fake, but it came in levels.
Wifey, did you hear that? Wifey, did you hear that? Carlos Boozer.
Oh,
She must be very aware of that. Then.
That's our first cousin.
So please let us know.
No, we just had this conversation last night with my brother-in-law too.
Okay,
so,
hold that.
Oh,
yeah.
snap.
So
Shout out to the whole day clothing line they got, but he microbladed his eyebrows and he had a fake hairline.
Man,
he doing the most. Man.
Yeah,
he doing the most.
Like I said, it's facts. It ain't personal. That's what actually happened.
We agree. We know what's going on.
Exactly.
I just want to say I appreciated your time in Chicago, sir. That's all I want to say. I just want to get that out. I ain't talking about you. I thought it grew in progressively.
You did.
I thought it started.
He didn't even have corners in college.
I saw some stuff.
So don't blame. You knew that wasn't his lining.
I saw some stubble.
He came from Alaska without a lining. So
I saw some stubble, and the stubble took form.
Got you. That's the same thing we're going to say about LeBron, too?
LeBron got straight hair plugs. Like,
now, when I come back in here with some waves, then what you going to say?
Exactly.
You went to, what's his name? Haven the Groomer?
They put a hypotenuse isosceles triangle right there on the corner, and they sprayed it in. So we got that Dron don't come back and explain that one.
Right. Shout out to Custom Style.
Yes.
Liners be so crisp.
Man.
Like a math problem.
Right.
Solve for X.
Right. Division sign.
You got everything, Stan or Butler?
I do. I got one. I'll throw out there. So if you got a chance, you got Kobe or LeBron. Which one is your leader?
To start a franchise with?
Who's going to, if you had to pick one of the two, which one would you pick over the other two?
You know I'm going with Kobe all day.
Wow.
For the simple reason is Kobe going to be Kobe no matter who you put around him. He not going to complain and whine about we need a better team or this ain't working, that ain't working. He ain't going to try to ask for the coach to get fired. Kobe going to go out there and ball out no matter who on the team or who on the floor.
That's because Kobe cheated.
And here's what's crazy is that
they ain't got nothing to do with
people get
yes, it does.
people get mad.
I'm talking about in the game.
Oh.
But check this out though. People get mad when Kobe takes so many shots, whether it's contested, uncontested.
Right.
But then they get mad when LeBron doesn't take.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
People are fickle.
Right. Well, they got the mind. What do y'all want? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, you got two contrast that, like you said, it's just your personality. You know what I'm saying? Where, like, if you got a problem in front of you and all four of us sitting around, and do you feel like all of us should put our heads together, or if you feel like, man, look, Fred ain't concentrating, Stan doing his, man, I'm gonna just fix it myself, forget it, man, you know, whatever like that. Just like they always say, the people that get an A in a group project for not doing nothing.
And then, game on the line, Kobe Bryant, he gonna take that tough shot
every time.
But LeBron James, he would rather
get the assist
pass George Hill
because he sees somebody else wide open.
Pass George Hill in the finals.
So it's like, okay, well, who's really in the wrong?
Pass Ray Allen in the finals too. Nobody want to talk about that. They all want to talk about Joe.
Who else he's gonna pass? It was 2 seconds left.
And Ray Allen is a traitor too.
Oh, thank you.
Traitor. But anyway,
you got Steph Curry on you 1-on-1, and you go to George Hill for the game.
What was the shot?
Not clutch.
One dribble and you bang out and game over.
All right, so with that being said, I'm sticking with Kobe because I know at the end of the day, if he was to get fouled with 2 seconds left, he'll make the free throw.
Even with a torn Achilles,
right,
knocking them both down.
He has that Jordan bread, you know, that Jordan blood in him. You know what I'm saying? That killer instinct, and I'll go with that any day of the week.
I ain't picking nobody.
Here you go.
Nobody. I'm picking
Brian back. He back.
And you better not call him what y'all think you're going to call him.
The white.
No, he not. No, he's only one Mamba. They throwing that word around too much. Now Alex Caruso some kind of Mamba.
Oh, man.
They need to stick with the bald eagle.
The Caruso. I mean, the Caruso.
Yeah. They called him something Mamba, though, the other day, and I was like, they better not.
Like, because he had the headband.
Probably, yeah.
Did you have anything?
Hold on, Bishop, what you going to say?
Oh, I'm Kobe. It's unanimous.
Okay, all right. Okay, got you.
Clutch, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Clearly chose Brian.
All right. Bro, you tripping. It's a hot take, something that you feel like you believe, but everybody else may say, bruh, you tripping.
Oh, man. You starting with me?
If you want.
No, come back to me.
You got anything?
Nah, I ain't got one.
All right, I'm going to say the Pelicans will make the playoffs because Zion's going to come back and save the day for them.
Pelicans will make the playoffs because J.J. Redick record. That's the only reason.
He told him don't mess
He makes
up.
it all the time.
Right. JJ Redick has always made the
That's the low-key
playoffs.
reason Zion coming back, because he still remembered that.
Yeah,
He
that-
threatened me.
Right, right.
Right. But I'm going to still say, bro, you tripping.
I don't think I can fully endorse that. I'll give you 46%. Okay. That's about it.
I ain't got nothing.
All right. Up next, we have Idiot
Oh man.
of the Week. Who wants to go first?
I do.
Here we go.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Yes. Yes, man.
What
That's
was
I
you
saying.
thinking giving them players money on camera on the field after the championship? That just
Everybody
got
else paying
ineligibility wrote all over it, man.
Yeah.
And the fact that you wanted that attention that bad to risk them kids' future and mortgage what they building right now, and that's supposed to be their moment, not yours. You know, you parading up and down the sideline all game, you doing all these antics and everything like that. I'm gonna give you my idiot of the week for the sole fact that you stole them kids' spotlight because you wasn't in it this year because you played on a bad team.
First of all, wait a minute. I never thought I'd do this. I'm gonna defend Odell Beckham.
Oh, Lord.
Dag nabbit, when was the last time LSU made it to the big game? Let him be happy. Ain't nothing else in his life going
But
right.
give them
can't give them
money,
money on
on the
camera
field
like that.
and on the camera.
You can't
at
do
a
that.
NCAA game.
It's illegal.
You know what else is illegal?
Oh, Lord.
Using their likeness and not paying for it. They better
That's true.
Shut up.
That's true. But
Shut
why
up,
not?
all the
Why
men.
not give them money
It's
after the game in the locker room or something? Why would you wait till you know the camera right there on them,
Right there.
and you jump right in front of it, and you visibly counting the money out? You ain't trying to just dap it to them. You
Take
count
this.
it out, and you right in front of the camera though. Like that's about you trying to get your shine on.
There's no way to privately do that anyway, because they
Yeah,
got
it
cameras everywhere.
They can do that in
You-
the locker
it-
room. Yeah.
They had cameras in the locker room. Y'all
He
see that?
played in the NCAA. He would know.
And
Right.
he tried to give him like the handshake. That's just like it's like the $100 handshake.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, he was flossing on that.
Yeah, he was just like he had that Richard Millie watch on the field earlier this year.
Let him be
Doing
happy.
too much.
Let him be happy.
He doing too much. And that's my idiot of the week, and I'm standing on it. That was crazy. And I hope them kids don't get in trouble for that.
Right.
Right.
I got one for you. Alex Cora from the Red Sox.
Oh, yeah. Shoot, them and the whole Astros organization,
Man,
for real.
man.
It's going down in MLB this
Boy,
year.
I'm like,
Astros
what
have
the
the funniest-
why do you think that? You know what I'm saying? Why would you do that?
Right.
Exactly.
You know, steal people's signals and all that, man. That's just a bad look, man. So that was my idiot of the week. I'm like, that's
And I'm
just
saying
crazy, bro.
The security for the room, they keep letting
Right.
people in there.
Right.
So that's the second idiot of the week is the people that keep letting people go in there and steal the signals.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good one though, man.
Yeah,
and,
that's
and then to add on AJ Hinch, the former coach, won a World Series 2 years ago, and now he gone because of what you did. And of course the GM Jeff Lunau. So it's a mess in Houston.
Yeah.
Mine, of course, if you didn't see the video on Twitter, Antonio Brown, enough said.
I ain't see it.
I didn't see it either. What did he do now?
I'll show you after the show.
All right.
It's just crazy. Enough said. But
Shout out our Twitter page real quick.
I'm at 314 Sports Talk. I got it retweeted and everything. So once again, at 314 Sports Talk. Follow it right now. All right, so I'm going local with this. Y'all know how big of a fan I am about Mizzou. And I had so much promise with this team. And the other day, Bashan Zone,
Yep.
Mario McKinney got suspended. Coach Martin is not saying the exact reasons why, but I have a feeling that I know why because I do follow his page on Twitter and on Instagram. And he leaves a lot of stories. And I know the way, not personally, but just seeing from the persona that Konzo is all about developing young men to be better than who they were. You know what I'm saying? And Mario, he doesn't realize it, but you out here posting these videos about saying the N-word all the time, all this cuss word, doing this and that. And he even admitted on his Instagram a few minutes after Mizzou played against Florida this past week, I think on Monday, and beat them. He was on this IG Live, and he was getting frustrated that people were, always commenting like, "Why? What happened to you?" and da 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 da. And he started bringing up a story that he went to practice, and the coach was like, "Hey, how you doing, Mario? How's your family? What's going on social media?" So I know there's something that he's been doing on social media that caught up to him. You're not in high school anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is, and people may have some blowback. Suzanne, you may be watching, you may know a little bit more than I do, but you can't have the high school mentality going to college.
That's what happened to Javon Quinterly that played for Villanova last year. He with Alabama now. Same thing, because he had the Jelly Fam where they had the thing with you know what I'm saying? He was big on social media during the season last year.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's one thing I give LeBron credit for, which should be more of a wave. You notice every time the playoffs start, he have a blackout.
Right.
Where he don't do no social media at all, ever, during the playoffs.
Right.
And, it go back to what we saying about the Roosevelt coach. They need to have social media training with kids, like you got to deal with it all the time, where how do you keep these kids from jeopardizing their future by trying to get some likes at this particular time right now?
Right. Yeah. So with that, and then here's the ice on the cake. He says he had no idea during the recruiting stage that they had 3 or 4 other guards ahead of him before he signed with the team.
Yeah, nah.
How can you not know about Xavier Pinson already be on the team?
Right.
Mark Smith on the team. Drew Smith was a transfer last year and sat out all last year. Mm-hmm. And then you had some other guard. How you not know there were other guards on that team?
The same way I didn't know. He ain't watching them.
That's an excuse. but
he ain't watching them.
But he want to go there.
Exactly.
They gave him the good talk.
How do you go there? But then you talk about you had no idea. They were on
Louisville,
TV.
Man.
Easy.
I said he should have went to Louisville.
So yeah, it's more to it. They're not probably gonna say exactly why, but like I said, you can't have that high school mentality like you the king of your high school when you're a freshman in college. It's a whole new ball game, and I'm pretty sure that's what Conzo Martin saw and said, you know what, it's time to go.
Yeah,
you're not no longer a fit here at Mizzou, so you wasted your time there. And then you put a bad name to your last name because of your older cousin, Jimmy McKinney, who went to the V.
Yeah.
Who, he didn't have a bad time at Mizzou. He didn't do anything that hurt his reputation.
Right.
But that's what you're doing now. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? At Mizzou. And now he's gone. Right. And now he entered the transfer portal. But you just can't keep doing these high school things. And then you want to play in college where your following is going to be bigger. In high school, you may have couple thousand people, follow you on social media. But when you are a 4-star, 5-star athlete, you're traveling to different states, whatever, doing this, you're going to get a following. He got like over 10,000 followers. So anytime he clicks live,
10,000 people get notified.
And they're seeing him saying, N-word this. And, saying stuff like that.
What in the John Wall is going on?
You can't do all that no more.
No, that's one of those things, man. Again, the training needs to be there. And I'm sure they provided some of that because all Division I schools, I'm sure, provide some type of training. It's just a learning curve for Mario.
Yeah.
And coming from Vashawn, being so successful, that's one of those things where, you're not bigger than the program. You quickly find it out going from a star to not playing and things like that, and a lot of guys suffer through it. The thing of it is, you have to understand that you're not the only person that's gone through this. Right. You won't be the last, and then there are other people that are on your team that feel the same way. But you use that to kind of galvanize yourself for the off season, for your workouts. You work hard in practice. Okay, well, since y'all don't want to give no playing time, I'm about to amp it up in practice.
And that's what's crazy is that he was getting to a point where he was starting to get more playing time.
Yeah.
And now you gone.
Yeah.
And I hope that Cameron Fletcher doesn't do the same thing in Kentucky. Don't get the big hit because you're playing in big blue country, and all of a sudden you trying to act like you a rock star, and you lose focus on the task at hand.
Right.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me he was acting like a rock star? He was playing for Mizzou.
Yeah. Well, he was a star before he went there. That's why he had a big following before he went there.
Big following.
So even Spice Adams was following him.
Yeah.
So he said that was his favorite high school mixtape.
Spice Adams is following him. Bronny James following him. Zaire Wade following him.
Yeah.
So all the elite, high schoolers, they all know each other pretty much because they always play in that certain circuit.
Right.
So they all, and then like you said, Spice Adams. I think they had baller something for
Baller,
life or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That Instagram page or whatever. They had like an all-star game for like teams from the East, guys from the East and the West Coast, whatever. And Spice Adams was one of the guys that was there as like a celebrity or whatever. Yeah. So that's how he knew about Rio McKinney. But like I said earlier, man, you just can't do the same things you used to do in high school.
No, you can't. I mean, you got to realize that everybody that's there was a star at their high school.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's, again, for me, I was in the room, again, like I said, with 7 guys that played for the NFL. So everybody was a star. I mean, the thing of it is, too, is that you got to realize, man, you'll get your shot, you'll get your time. You just got to be patient. Right. And, for me, like, we'll be on the sideline. If somebody get nicked up in the huddle, they start grabbing their ankle. We buckling up. Like, you want you to come out. Like, you like, nah, because if you get a chance to get in, you might not come back out. You know what I mean? So, but it was a friendly competition. But that, again, I think it goes back to the society that we in. Kids just hypersensitive about everything. If you ain't playing, then you trash, or you ain't as good as you thought you were, and all that stuff that people could say. Like KD, that stuff affects people, and then it makes them respond and get. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up
your old show. We gonna talk. Hey, look, that's the perfect example of talking about somebody getting their feelings on social media.
Kevin,
that was perfect. Yeah,
remember he had that burner account.
Yeah. Man,
and then he
arguing with a 14-year-old. They got 49 followers, and they went at it for an hour.
You just won the NBA championship, and
you arguing with right.
No, I guess that's
you arguing with somebody that only his neighbors know.
You arguing with a pubescent ass kid,
right? And you going. You that mad?
Arguing with a dude with a little
trying to defend yourself against an unknown person.
Yeah,
come on,
with the hoop that's unattached to your garage.
Right, you don't even know if he ever even picked up a ball.
Got the hoop with the base.
Right, the water media, man.
Now here it is, and wasn't no water in it. You got 2 garden display bricks on the back of it.
Right, it's gonna tip over every time you dunk.
That's why you don't dunk. That's why these kids shoot the 3. They ain't got no anchored hoops at home.
Exactly.
They can't dunk.
Put sand eyes,
They on their milk crates.
The milk crates, man. We broke a lot of them boys.
I'm telling you, boy.
Man.
Dunk on the milk crate.
Hey, that was some of the best games, boy.
That's how you learn how to shoot for real.
Yeah.
Because it can't rattle none. It's coming out. The ball just barely big enough to go in there.
That was the days, bro.
Like,
yeah.
I was looking. I was like, bro, milk crates were really hard. Like the ball's in.
Man.
Get it out. Well, no.
Now you got to go push it back out. Or the rims without no net. And you arguing. That wasn't no urban. That was money. You was talking about. Yeah. Right. That was all
and like I said last week, playing all those double rims.
Double rims. Them was the worst too. That's
Wow.
Chain nets.
Of the devil.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Lafayette Park, man.
Man, I never hooped at Lafayette. They ain't got no rims.
Anybody still got chain?
Man, the worst thing about a chain net is dunking. Which I found out the hard way a lot of times. I lost
because your finger get caught in that.
Man, my finger, my elbow. I lost a tooth, like all kind of stuff, man. Because that chain coming back fast. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying. That's when thank God, I never got a earring tore out. But I seen somebody lose like a load. You know what I'm saying? Because of the chain net. You know what I'm saying? So
that's crazy.
When you in the game, though, when somebody get to run their mouth,
right?
You don't think like that. You like, man, look, I'm
all
coming
of a sudden
down the lane. You know what I'm saying? Wait till Rodney Bond get on this show.
Yeah.
Man.
All right. Did you have anything in the week?
Yeah, I gave you Alex Cora.
Okay. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Nah.
All right.
Everybody's stupid.
Everybody's stupid. Everybody's stupid. All right. Last segment of the show. Final say. B. Baker, you got anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep mine brief, but it's inspired by what Bishop said earlier. So what I'm gonna say to all the athletes, man, is that never let somebody appear bigger than you, or never be defeated in your mind before you line up against them before the game. With that being said, as you can see, with the powerhouses in college going down lately, with the NFL teams that we picked to win and everything like that, to quote Biggie, not actually quote him, but kind of go off what he say. They bleed just like us. Like you got a man that breathe the same air as you, pump the same blood as you. You should not put him on a pedestal to where he just already got you defeated before you play. Like you said, that's why we play the game. So no matter what, trust your talent, trust your work that you put in, and don't let nobody feel like they bigger than you and you can't beat them. So that's my final say on that.
There it is. Butler, Banote.
I can do all things through Christ Jesus that strengthens me. That's my last say. Because again, it doesn't matter what you facing, what anybody says. Again, what you said that you can do, and even if you don't make it the way that you thought you can make it, the Lord will give you the strength to be able to continue on to your final destination. So that's my last word.
Stan.
These shows been 3 hours since I've been gone. This what y'all doing this year?
Man,
This what y'all doing this year?
2 in a row, man.
This what we do.
Hey, that's
we
what happens.
Struggling to get 2.
That's what happens.
How are we struggling to stay under 2, but now we done maintained to go over 3? There ain't no gray area.
You know why? Because we have great guests on our shows.
Yeah.
And so it's all about that great conversation, man.
I appreciate that. That means a lot, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great
It's
conversation.
good being here. I
That's
had a
cool,
good
but
time.
just know it ain't no lollygagging for none of us going on. Oh, the live stream over? All right.
Right. We go
straight home.
We go. Peace out.
Right.
All right, smooth.
Right.
You got anything though?
Man, for the first time in a while, I believe that sports in every sport, it's interesting again. Like for the longest, we had the teams that we know we're gonna make it to the playoffs, like what B. Baker said. But it's like it's interesting again. Sports is fun, even though the rules are ass. Sports is fun.
Yep.
And I'm excited to see what this decade brings for sports. I am not excited because it was made evident to everybody on my Facebook list that in this decade, LeBron about to retire. Which is crazy.
It's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's still weird to know that Kobe ain't playing no more. Because I grew up watching Kobe. I grew up watching LeBron. I got a fake LeBron signed poster because the nurse at my mama's school that she was working at the time.
Signed it.
Yeah. But then it's like, I was like, oh man, she went out the way to sign it. I was like, I mean,
She signed it seriously?
yeah, she signed it seriously.
Wow.
I don't know what that poster is, but all I know is when I Googled LeBron's signature and that wasn't it, I was like, oh, dang.
Right.
I should have known something was weird while LeBron writing in this highlight lime green marker. Maybe that's all they had.
Oh, man.
But it's like for the first time in a while, sports is interesting. We are in a special period in sports where history is being made on a daily, where records that we thought would never be broken again are being broken. I believe in this decade we're gonna see 101 points in basketball. I don't know how, but I believe
By a
it's
player?
gonna happen. I believe it's gonna happen.
Nah.
I don't know how, but I believe it's gonna happen. Like
Not
just gonna
in
be
the
hot
video
from three
replay era.
all day. Somebody gonna be like Kobe and then keep going past 81.
Yeah.
Just go crazy.
If that coach allows them to.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Problem is they're gonna be up by 40.
Because James Harden had the opportunity to do that, and D'Antoni didn't even plan the whole fourth
You
quarter.
can't.
Harden is great on paper. He's great at stuff and stats. But when it comes down to it, I done said it before. I've said it multiple times. I almost thought that I would be wrong. But looking at the season, I can say it with confidence. Harden is not getting a ring.
Yeah.
I
He's
said
going to
that.
be the new Barkley.
Yep.
The
No,
new
he gonna be the new Melo and AI.
you can't
Prolific
be the new
scores,
Melo,
but they just can't seem to get. Well, Melo ain't even been in the finals.
Right.
Allen Iverson only went once and won one game because he just had a crazy game and took over the fourth quarter in overtime. And he only won that one. And then after that, they was out of there. And you never return. Right. So, yeah, I agree.
All right. So, you actually kind of brought this guy up just now, but this man here, he was blackballed for no reason. A lot of people said he was done for no reason. I was one of those people that thought maybe he should go ahead and retire. This man didn't pout. He didn't go on social media and clown like AB does. He didn't set out his own rules and guidelines and go to this extreme and that extreme. He just sat back and stayed patient. He could have gotten at his boys and said, "Hey, hook this up. Let's make this happen." Da 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 da. He didn't do it, and now he has came back into the league, and he has let everybody know that he still got it. He's still respected, and you have to give props to Carmelo Anthony because he didn't give up on his dream in regards to staying in the NBA. And I feel like that's something that Colin Kaepernick could have learned from.
Yep. Wow.
So I have to give my props to Carmelo for what he's done and still doing right now. And that is the Platform Sports Talk Show. I am your boy Smooth.
Understand, baby.
B. Baker.
And we got special guest
Bishop.
But no take.
Check us out next week right here. We will have represented from St. Mary's High School, Corey Bethany. He was on our show before with Bishop and Street A. Smith at a spoke session, but we're going to have him in here in the getaway, holding things down. Should be an incredible show. Share it with all your friends. We'll see y'all next week. Y'all be safe.
210s, 25s, 10-1s. You ain't got to wait till the end of the season. You can cash at me. Hashtag STNTN official. That was for you, Street A. Smith.
Dang.
Because when it's about sports,
it becomes our business.
And business just picked up.
Stay smooth, y'all. We gone.
Run me my money.